A billionaire heiress bleeding on a corporate floor, a janitor who risks everything for a stranger. One freezing Boston night that breaks every rule. When Noah Carter finds Claire Whitmore collapsed and desperate in her own building, he has two choices: walk away and keep his job, or help her disappear and lose everything. What happens when two people from completely different worlds collide in the middle of a blizzard? This is their story. If you're watching from anywhere in the world, drop your city in the comments. I want to see how far this reaches. Hit that like button and let's begin. The fluorescent lights in the executive tower hummed like dying insects. Noah Carter pushed his cleaning cart down the 42nd floor hallway, wheels squeaking against polished marble that probably cost more than his annual salary. His hands were raw from chemicals. His back ached from 8 hours of scrubbing other people's messes. And all he could think about was getting home before his daughter woke up asking where he'd been. It was 2:30 in the morning. Outside, Boston was buried under the kind of blizzard that made the news, the kind that shut down highways and sent everyone with any sense home hours ago. But janitors didn't get snow days. Neither did single fathers who needed every paycheck just to stay above water. Noah had been working the night shift at Whitmore Financial Tower for 6 months. 6 months of invisible labor, emptying trash bins full of half-eaten sushi, wiping down conference tables where people made decisions that moved millions, cleaning bathrooms that gleamed like something out of a hotel magazine. He was 32 years old and completely unremarkable. Brown hair that needed cutting, tired eyes, clothes from Target that he'd owned for 3 years. The kind of man people looked through rather than at. He liked it that way. Being invisible meant being safe. The executive floor was supposed to be empty. Security had cleared it at midnight. Noah worked methodically, the way he always did. Trash first, then surfaces, then floors. He'd learned not to look too closely at the paperwork left on desks, not to read the emails still glowing on abandoned computer screens. Other people's lives, other people's problems. None of his business. He was halfway through vacuuming the main conference room when he heard it. A sound. Quiet. Almost nothing. Noah stopped, finger hovering over the vacuum's off switch. The building settled and creaked around him, old bones adjusting to the wind outside. Probably just the storm. Probably nothing. Then he heard it again. A breath. Shaky and wrong. He killed the vacuum. Silence rushed in, broken only by the muffled howl of wind against reinforced glass. Noah stood there, pushing his cart slightly forward, listening. His first instinct was to ignore it, finish his shift, go home. Getting involved in anything up here was a good way to lose his job, and he couldn't afford that. Couldn't afford anything, really, except the basics. Rent, food, keeping his daughter in decent shoes. But the sound came again. Definitely human, definitely in pain. Damn it, Noah muttered under his breath. He left his cart and walked toward the corner office at the end of the hall. The nameplate on the door read C. Whitmore, Chief Strategy Officer. He'd cleaned this office 100 times, always careful, always quick. It belonged to someone important, someone he'd never actually seen. The door was open 6 inches. Noah hesitated, hand on the frame. Every smart instinct he had screamed at him to turn around. Nothing good came from getting involved with executive-level problems. He thought about his daughter, Emma, asleep at home with Mrs. Chen from downstairs watching her. Emma, with her gap-toothed smile and her obsession with dolphins. Emma, who trusted him to make good choices. He pushed the door open. The office was massive. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked out over a city disappearing into white. Expensive furniture, art on the walls that Noah didn't understand but knew cost more than his car. And on the floor, next to an overturned desk chair, was a woman. She was curled on her side, one hand pressed against her ribs, the other reaching for nothing. Her dark hair was tangled across her face. Blood, not a lot, but enough, smeared across her temple and down her left arm. She wore a business suit that probably cost a month of his rent, now rumpled and torn at the shoulder. "Hey!" Noah's voice came out rough. He cleared his throat and tried again. "Hey, are you—" Her head snapped up. The woman's eyes locked on his, and Noah stopped mid-step. He'd seen fear before. He'd seen it in his own mirror after his wife left, after the cancer diagnosis that turned their lives inside out, after the funeral. But this was different. This was the kind of fear that came from something immediate and close. "Don't." Her voice was hoarse but sharp. "Don't call anyone. Noah raised his hand slightly, the way you might approach a spooked animal. You're hurt. I need to. I said don't. She pushed herself up to sitting, wincing. Up close, Noah could see she was younger than he'd first thought. Maybe 30. Her face was pale but striking, the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers. Even bleeding and terrified, she looked like she cost money. No security, no one. Do you understand? Lady, you're bleeding on a $40,000 rug. Noah stayed where he was. I'm pretty sure someone's going to notice that. I'll handle it. She tried to stand, got halfway up, and her legs buckled. Noah moved without thinking, catching her elbow before she hit the floor again. She flinched at the contact but didn't pull away. I need a minute. You need a hospital. No. The word came out flat and final. No hospitals, no police, no anyone. She looked at him then, really looked at him, and Noah saw something shift in her expression, calculation mixed with desperation. You're the janitor. Night maintenance, Noah corrected automatically, though it meant the same thing. You have access to the service exits. It wasn't a question. Noah felt the conversation tilting towards something he didn't want to be part of. Yeah, but I need to leave, now, without anyone seeing me. She was still gripping his arm, her fingers cold even through his shirt. Please. Noah should have said no. Should have called security, let them handle whatever this was, and gone back to his cart. Should have protected himself and his job and the quiet life he'd built from the wreckage of the old one. Instead, he said, Why? The woman laughed. It was a bitter sound, sharp enough to cut. Because if my father finds out I'm here like this, he'll lock me in a gilded cage for the rest of my life. Because if the press finds out, it'll be headlines by morning. Because I'm so tired of being watched and managed and controlled that I can't. She stopped, breathing hard. I just need one night. One night where I'm not Clare Whitmore, billionaire's daughter, where I'm just someone else, anyone else. Clare Whitmore. Noah's stomach dropped. He'd heard the name, obviously. The Whitmores owned half of Boston, this building, probably half the city. Richard Whitmore's daughter, the one who'd gone to Yale, who sat on boards, who showed up in the society pages at charity galas. And she was bleeding on the floor of her own office, begging a janitor to help her disappear. What happened? Noah asked quietly. Claire's jaw tightened. Does it matter? Yeah, it does. She studied his face for a long moment. Whatever she saw there must have satisfied her because she said, I told someone no tonight. Someone who wasn't used to hearing it. He got angry. I got careless. She touched her temple, fingers coming away red. It's not as bad as it looks. Head wounds bleed a lot. Noah recognized the deflection. He'd used the same one himself years ago when people asked about his wife's treatment, when they wanted details he didn't want to give. Okay, he said. Claire blinked. Okay? Service exits on the north side. Go straight to the parking garage. We can avoid security cameras if we're smart about it. Noah looked at her torn suit, her heeled shoes. But you're going to freeze to death in that. There's a blizzard outside. I don't care about... I care. The words came out sharper than he meant them. Noah softened his voice. Look, I don't know what your story is, and maybe it's none of my business. But if I'm helping you leave, I'm helping you leave alive. Got it? Something shifted in Claire's expression. Surprise, maybe. Or something close to it. Got it? Noah pulled off his jacket, thick, worn, not fancy, but warm, and handed it to her. Put this on, and lose the shoes. You'll break your neck in those. Claire took the jacket, her fingers brushing his. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. Noah moved to the window, checking the street below. White everywhere, cars buried, the whole city locked down and holding its breath. We've got about 15 minutes before security makes another round. Can you walk? Yes. She couldn't, not really. Noah ended up half supporting her weight as they moved through the executive floor, past his abandoned cleaning cart, toward the service elevator he used every night. Claire kept her head down, his jacket swallowing her frame, and Noah tried not to think about what he was doing, tried not to calculate the risk. The elevator doors opened. They stepped inside. Noah hit the button for the garage level and watched the numbers descend. You're risking your job, Claire said quietly. Yeah. Why? Noah didn't answer right away. The elevator hummed around them, carrying them down through the building, away from her world and toward his. Finally, he said, "My daughter asks me questions sometimes, about right and wrong, about what it means to be a good person." He looked at Claire. "I'd rather have good answers than a good job." The elevator stopped. Doors opened onto concrete and shadows, and the smell of motor oil. Noah's truck was parked in the far corner, exactly where he left it every night. A 10-year-old Ford with a rusted bumper and a car seat in the back. "That's yours?" Claire asked. "Don't judge it. It runs." They crossed the garage, footsteps echoing. Noah unlocked the passenger side and helped Claire into the seat. She moved carefully, still favoring her ribs. He rounded the truck, climbed in, started the engine. It coughed once before catching. "Where are we going?" Claire asked. Noah pulled out of the garage into the storm. Snow swallowed the windshield immediately. He turned on the wipers, and they scraped across glass, clearing just enough to see. The streets were empty, abandoned, just them and the white. "My place," Noah said. "It's not much, but it's warm and no one's looking for you there." Claire didn't argue. She leaned back against the seat, closed her eyes, and for the first time since he'd found her, she looked like she could breathe. They drove in silence through the buried city. Noah's apartment was in Dorchester, 20 minutes away on a good day, 40 in weather like this. The truck skidded twice on black ice. Noah corrected each time, hands steady on the wheel, years of Boston winters in his muscle memory. "You have a daughter," Claire said eventually. "Emma. She's 6. "Is she home?" "Neighbor's watching her. I work nights. She sleeps days. We make it work." Noah didn't mention the rest of it. How hard it had been after Sarah died, how close they'd come to losing everything, how some months he still chose between electricity and groceries. Claire didn't need his sob story. "And her mother?" "Dead, cancer, 3 years ago." The word landed between them like a stone in still water. Claire was quiet for a moment, then said, "I'm sorry." "Me too." They turned onto Noah's street. The apartment building was a squat brick structure with a broken intercom and graffiti near the entrance. Home. Noah parked and killed the engine. "Last chance," he said. "I can still take you somewhere else. Hotel, friend's place, anywhere you want." Claire looked at the building, then at him. "Here's fine." They got out. The cold hit immediately, vicious and sharp. Noah led Claire through the front entrance, up 3 flights of stairs because the elevator was broken again, down a hallway that smelled like someone's cooking and old carpet. He unlocked apartment 3F and pushed the door open. "Home sweet home," Noah said. The apartment was small, living room, kitchen, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, furniture from Goodwill. Emma's toys scattered across the floor. Drawings taped to the refrigerator, mostly dolphins and fish, rendered in crayon with the confident chaos of a 6-year-old. Books everywhere, piled on shelves Noah had built himself from scrap lumber. It was nothing like the office they'd left behind. Nothing like Claire's world. But it was warm. Claire stepped inside and stopped. She was looking at the drawings, at the lived-in mess, at the evidence of an actual life happening in this space. Noah watched her face and couldn't read what he saw there. "Bathroom's down the hall," he said. "There's a first aid kit under the sink. I'll make coffee." Claire nodded and disappeared. Noah heard the bathroom door close, heard water running. He moved into the kitchen and started the coffee maker, then checked his phone. Text from Mrs. Chen. "Emma's asleep. All good. See you in the morning." Noah texted back his thanks, then leaned against the counter and wondered what the hell he'd just done. The bathroom door opened. Claire emerged, his jacket gone, her suit jacket gone, just a white blouse now stained with blood. She'd cleaned the cut on her temple. It wasn't as bad as it had looked, shallow, already clotting. The one on her arm was worse, but not terrible. "Coffee's almost ready," Noah said. "Thank you." Claire sat down at the small kitchen table, moving like everything hurt. "I don't know your name." "Noah. Noah Carter." "Noah?" She tested the name. "I'm Claire, but you already knew that." "Yeah." The coffee maker beeped. Noah poured 2 cups, handed one to Claire. She wrapped both hands around it like she was trying to absorb the heat through her palms. "Tell me about the marine animals," Claire said suddenly. Noah blinked. "What?" "The books. I saw them in the living room. Marine biology textbooks, field guides. You studying for something?" "Oh. No, those are..." Emma's obsessed with dolphins, whales, anything that lives in the ocean. I've been reading them so I can answer her questions. Noah felt his face heat slightly. She's 6. Her questions are very specific. Claire smiled. It was the first real smile he'd seen from her. Small and tired, but genuine. That's sweet. That's parenting. They sat there drinking coffee, while the storm hammered against the windows and the radiator clanked and hissed. Noah didn't ask what had really happened tonight. Claire didn't offer. Some stories needed time before they could be told. You should sleep, Noah said finally. Take the bedroom. I'll crash on the couch. I can't take your bed. You're injured. I'm not. It's not a debate. Noah stood, collected their cups. There's clean sheets, extra blankets in the closet, door locks if you want privacy. Claire stood too. She looked at him for a long moment, and Noah had the strange sense of being truly seen for the first time in years. Not looked through, not invisible, actually seen. Why are you doing this? She asked. Noah thought about his daughter, asleep downstairs, about the life he was trying to build for her, about the kind of man he wanted to be when she looked at him. Because you asked, he said simply. Claire's expression did something complicated. That's it? That's it. She nodded slowly, then moved toward the bedroom. At the doorway, she paused. Noah? Yeah? Thank you, really. Then she was gone, the door clicking shut behind her. Noah stood in his small kitchen, listening to the storm, wondering if he'd just made the best or worst decision of his life. Probably both, he thought, and went to find blankets for the couch. He didn't sleep much. Couldn't. His brain kept replaying the moment he'd opened that office door, kept calculating what would happen when security found his cart abandoned on the 42nd floor, when someone realized Claire Whitmore was missing. He'd be fired. Obviously. Maybe blacklisted. Maybe worse. But when he closed his eyes, he saw the fear in Claire's face, the desperation, the very human need to escape, even for just one night. Noah knew about needing to escape. After Sarah died, he'd wanted to disappear too. Had wanted to stop being Noah Carter, widower and single father, and become someone, anyone else. He'd never managed it. Responsibility wouldn't let him. So he'd stayed, and built this life piece by piece out of what remained. Around 4 a.m, Noah's phone buzzed. He grabbed it, expecting Mrs. Chen. Instead, it was a news alert. Breaking. Winter storm shuts down Greater Boston. Governor declares state of emergency. Perfect. At least the weather gave them cover. Noah dozed off somewhere around 5, though. When he woke, gray light was filtering through the windows and something smelled good. He sat up, disoriented, and heard sounds from the kitchen. The apartment door opening. Daddy! Emma barreled into the living room, snow boots leaving wet prints on the floor, her coat half-zipped. Mrs. Chen followed, shaking snow from her hair. Morning, Mr. Carter, Mrs. Chen said. Schools are closed. Thought I'd bring her up. Thanks, Mrs. Chen. I appreciate... Who's that? Emma had stopped mid-run, staring toward the kitchen. Noah's stomach dropped. He turned. Claire stood in the kitchen doorway, wearing one of Noah's old college sweatshirts and a pair of his sweatpants, rolled at the ankles. Her hair was pulled back. The cuts on her temple and arm were visible but cleaned. She looked young and uncertain and completely out of place. And she was holding a spatula. Hi, Claire said to Emma. I'm making pancakes. I hope that's okay. Emma looked at Claire, then at Noah, then back at Claire. Are you my dad's girlfriend? Noah choked on nothing. Emma, no, Claire said quickly. I'm a friend. I got stuck in the storm last night. Your dad let me stay here. Oh. Emma processed this with the easy acceptance of 6-year-olds everywhere. Okay, I like pancakes. Can mine have chocolate chips? Absolutely. Mrs. Chen raised an eyebrow at Noah, but said nothing. She waved and left, pulling the door shut behind her. Noah stood there, rumpled from the couch, watching his daughter march into the kitchen like she owned it. I didn't know you were coming up, Noah said to Emma. Mrs. Chen said there's no school because of snow. Emma climbed onto a kitchen chair. Are those really going to be chocolate chip pancakes? They really are, Claire said. She looked at Noah over Emma's head, and he saw apology and amusement in equal measure. I hope this is all right. I woke up and couldn't sleep and thought I'd make myself useful. It's fine, Noah said, because what else could he say? He moved into the kitchen, started another pot of coffee, and watched Claire flip pancakes with surprising competence. Emma chattered nonstop about the snow, about dolphins, about a kid in her class who'd brought a dead beetle to show and tell. Claire listened, asked questions, smiled. It was surreal. A billionaire heiress in his kitchen, making breakfast for his daughter, wearing his clothes. Do you know about dolphins? Emma asked Claire. A little bit. Why? Because they're the best animal. Did you know they sleep with one eye open? I did not know that. It's true. Daddy read it to me. They have to keep swimming or they'll sink, so half their brain sleeps and half stays awake. Emma stabbed her pancake with a fork. I want to be a dolphin scientist when I grow up. Marine biologist, Noah corrected. That's what I said. Claire laughed. It was a real laugh, unguarded and warm. Noah felt something shift in his chest, something he couldn't quite name. They ate breakfast together at the small table. Emma dominated the conversation, which was fine. It gave Noah time to think, to watch, to try to figure out what happened next. Claire seemed lighter than she had last night, less hunted, more present. She answered Emma's questions, asked her own, acted like sitting in a cramped Dorchester apartment eating chocolate chip pancakes was the most normal thing in the world. Maybe for this morning, it was. After breakfast, Emma wanted to show Claire her room. Noah started to object, but Claire was already being led away, Emma's small hand in hers. He cleaned up the dishes and tried not to think about how easily Claire fit into this space. Tried not to think about Monday morning when he'd have to face whatever consequences were coming. His phone buzzed. Work number. Noah's stomach clenched. He let it ring through to voicemail. It buzzed again immediately. Same number. Noah answered. Hello, Mr. Carter. The voice was clipped, professional, building security. We need you to come in. There's been an incident. I'm snowed in, Noah said. Roads are closed. This can't wait. It's regarding last night. Noah closed his eyes. What about last night? Your cleaning cart was found abandoned on the executive floor. Security footage shows you entering an office you weren't authorized to access. We need to discuss this. Okay? Noah kept his voice steady. I'll come in as soon as the road's clear. See that you do. The line went dead. Noah set his phone down carefully and breathed through the spike of panic in his chest. He'd known this was coming, had known it all along. Everything okay? He turned. Claire stood in the living room, Emma still showing her picture books in the background. She'd seen his face, read something there. Work called, Noah said quietly. They know I was in your office. Claire's expression shifted. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to I knew the risks. Noah moved past her, grabbed his phone. I need to figure out what to tell them. Tell them the truth. The truth gets me fired and you exposed. Neither of those helps. Noah, it's fine. I'll handle it. He knew he sounded short, but he couldn't help it. Reality was crashing back in, cold and sharp. This wasn't some movie where everything worked out. This was his life, his job, his daughter's future. Emma appeared, holding a stuffed dolphin. Claire said she'd take us to the aquarium when the snow stops. Can we go, Daddy, please? Noah looked at his daughter's hopeful face, then at Claire's guilty one. The absurdity of it hit him all at once. A billionaire offering to take them to an aquarium she probably owned, while his job circled the drain and her father probably had investigators looking for her. We'll see, Emma. That means no, Emma said sadly. It means we'll see. The rest of the morning passed in a strange suspension. The storm continued. The city stayed buried. Emma played. Claire helped Noah dig out an old board game, and they played it on the living room floor while wind rattled the windows. It felt almost normal, almost like they were just three people passing time during a snow day. But Noah couldn't shake the weight of that phone call. Couldn't stop thinking about Monday. Around noon, Emma fell asleep on the couch, exhausted from playing. Noah covered her with a blanket and turned to find Claire watching him. You're good with her, Claire said quietly. I'm her dad. It's my job. It's more than that. Claire stood, moved to the window. She's lucky to have you. Noah didn't know what to say to that. He joined her at the window, looking out at the white drowned city. You should probably call someone. Let them know you're safe. I know, but you're not going to. Not yet. Claire glanced at him. Is that selfish? Probably, but I get it. They stood there in silence. Finally, Claire said, "My father controls everything. Who I see, where I go, what I do. He calls it protection, calls it love. But it feels like prison." Her voice was soft, but edged with something sharp. "Last night, someone reminded me what happens when you're a woman with money and power. When you say no. And I realized I've spent my whole life being managed, and I'm so tired, Noah. I'm just so tired of it." Noah thought about his own life. The choices that had been taken from him when Sarah got sick. The powerlessness of watching her die. The slow rebuild after. "One night," he said. "You wanted one night to be someone else." "Yes." "You got it, but tomorrow's coming either way." "I know." Claire turned to face him fully. "What will you tell them? Your work? The truth, probably. That I found you hurt and helped you leave. That I didn't know who you were. It was close enough to the truth to work. They'll still fire me. Let me talk to them. Let me—" "No." Noah's voice was firm. "This isn't your mess to clean up. I made my choice. A choice that's going to cost you. Maybe, but I can live with it." He looked at Emma, sleeping peacefully. "I can explain it to my daughter. Can you say the same about going back to your father?" Claire flinched. "That's not fair." "No, but it's true." They stood there, tension strung between them, neither backing down. Finally, Claire said, "The aquarium offer was real. When this is over, when things settle, I meant it." "Why?" "Because your daughter loves dolphins and I have access to the best aquarium in the city. Because watching you two together reminded me what family is supposed to look like." Claire's voice cracked slightly. "Because I haven't felt this human in years, Noah, and I don't want to lose that." Noah studied her face. This woman from a completely different world, standing in his apartment in borrowed sweatpants, looking more real than she probably had in years. He thought about the risk she represented, the complication, the very high probability that this ended badly. Then he thought about Emma's question, "Are you my dad's girlfriend?" And Claire's answer, "I'm a friend." "Okay," Noah said. "Okay? When this settles. When you've dealt with whatever you need to deal with. If you still want to take a 6-year-old to look at fish, I won't stop you." Claire smiled. It reached her eyes this time. "It's a deal." The storm broke late that afternoon. The city began digging itself out. Noah's phone buzzed with messages. Work, security, a number he didn't recognize. He ignored them all. Claire finally made her call, stepping into the bedroom for privacy. Noah heard her voice, muffled and tense, through the door. When she emerged 20 minutes later, she looked exhausted. "My assistant is sending a car," she said. "I told them I stayed with a friend. They're being discreet." "And your father?" "Doesn't know yet. But he will." Claire pulled off the sweatshirt, started to fold it. "I should change back into my clothes." "Keep them. Yours are trashed." "Noah, keep them." Claire nodded. She looked at Emma, still sleeping, then at Noah. "Thank you for everything." "You already said that." "I mean it more now." The car arrived an hour later, black SUV with tinted windows, idling at the curb. Claire had changed into her ruined suit because she had to, had pulled her hair back, had become Claire Whitmore again right in front of Noah's eyes. But at the door, she paused. "The aquarium. I wasn't kidding." "Neither was I." She smiled, squeezed his hand once, and left. Noah watched from the window as she climbed into the SUV, watched it pull away into the slushy street, watched until it disappeared around the corner. Emma woke up an hour later asking where Claire went. Noah told her the truth, she had to go home. Emma accepted this with the easy resilience of children. "I liked her," Emma said. "She made good pancakes." "Yeah," Noah said, "she did." That night, after Emma was asleep, Noah sat at the kitchen table with a cup of coffee and his phone. 3 voicemails from work. 2 from building security. 1 from a blocked number that turned out to be a reporter. He deleted them all. Then he opened his laptop and started drafting his resignation letter. Because whatever came next, he was going to meet it on his own terms. Outside, the city glittered under fresh snow. Somewhere in it, Claire Whitmore was returning to her life. And Noah Carter was sitting in his small apartment drinking cheap coffee, wondering if one night could possibly be enough to change anything. His daughter's drawings covered the refrigerator, dolphins and whales rendered in crayon. Noah looked at them and thought, maybe it already had. Monday morning came like a verdict. Noah dropped Emma at school, watched her run through the slushy playground toward her friends, her backpack bouncing. She turned once to wave, gap-toothed smile bright against the gray sky. He waved back and wondered how much longer he could keep smiling like everything was fine. The meeting was scheduled for 10. Noah showed up at 9:30, cleaned himself up as best he could. His good jeans, a button-down shirt he'd ironed himself. He looked like exactly what he was, a man trying to hold on to something that was already slipping through his fingers. The HR office was on the 3rd floor. Same building he'd worked in for 6 months, but this was the corporate side, the part with carpet and motivational posters and people who wore ties. Noah had never been called here before. That alone told him everything he needed to know. Mr. Carter, the HR director was a woman in her 50s named Patricia Moss. She had kind eyes that didn't match the manila folder on her desk. Please, sit down. Noah sat. There was another man in the room standing near the window. Security, probably. Or legal. Noah couldn't tell anymore. I'm going to be direct, Patricia said. Friday night, you accessed an area you weren't authorized to enter. The executive floor. Specifically, the office of Clare Whitmore. Yes, ma'am. You abandoned your workstation. Your cleaning cart was found on the 42nd floor at 3:15 a.m. Security footage shows you leaving the building at 2:47 with someone we've identified as Ms. Whitmore herself. Patricia opened the folder. Would you like to explain? Noah had rehearsed this, had gone over it a dozen times in his head. The truth, stripped down to its bones. I heard someone in distress. I went to check. Found Ms. Whitmore injured. She asked me not to call security or medical. She asked for help leaving the building. I helped her. You helped a member of the Whitmore family leave her own building without authorization. She asked me to. Me. That's not your decision to make, Mr. Carter. Patricia's voice stayed level, but Noah heard the disappointment underneath. You're aware that we have protocols. Security exists for a reason. Medical emergencies require... She said it wasn't a medical emergency. She was bleeding. Yes, ma'am. Patricia closed the folder. I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Did Ms. Whitmore offer you anything? Money? Favors? Anything that might explain why you'd risk your employment? Noah felt anger flicker in his chest. No? Then why did you do it? Because she asked. Because she was scared. Because it seemed like the right thing to do at the time. Noah met Patricia's eyes. I'm not asking you to agree with me. I know I broke protocol. I know there are consequences, but I'm not going to lie about why I did it. The man by the window spoke for the first time. Did Ms. Whitmore indicate why she was injured? No. Did she mention anyone by name? No. Where did you take her? Noah hesitated. That was the line he'd drawn for himself. He'd tell them what he did, but not where Clare had gone. Somewhere safe. Mr. Carter, this isn't a game. I'm aware. Patricia sighed. She looked tired, like this whole situation had given her a headache she didn't want. Noah? Can I call you Noah? She didn't wait for an answer. You're a good employee. Reliable. Quiet. Never caused problems. Your supervisor speaks highly of you. But this... She gestured at the folder. This is beyond protocol violations. This is a liability issue. The Whitmore family is central to this company. If something had happened to Ms. Whitmore while in your care, nothing happened. But it could have, and that's the problem. Patricia leaned back. I'm sorry, I have to let you go. Effective immediately. Noah had known it was coming, had prepared himself for it, but hearing the words still hit like a fist to the stomach. He thought about Emma, about rent, about the bills stacked on his kitchen counter. I understand, he said quietly. You'll receive 2 weeks severance. We'll process your final paycheck by Friday. You'll need to turn in your building access card and any company property before you leave today. Patricia's voice softened slightly. For what it's worth, I believe you meant well, but intention doesn't erase consequence. Noah stood. He pulled his access card from his wallet, set it on the desk. Is that all? That's all. He walked out of the HR office, past the motivational posters about teamwork and integrity, past the corporate employees who didn't look at him. Out to the parking lot where his truck sat alone in the gray morning. He climbed in, closed the door, and sat there for a long time, hands on the steering wheel, breathing. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. Noah almost didn't answer, but something made him pick up. Hello? Mr. Carter? The voice was male, older, with the kind of authority that came from never being questioned. My name is Richard Whitmore. I believe you know my daughter. Noah's blood went cold. How did you get this number? I get any number I want, Mr. Carter. That's not important. What's important is that we talk, in person, today. I don't think that's a good idea. I wasn't asking. The temperature in Richard Whitmore's voice dropped about 20 degrees. There's a restaurant, the Bancroft, downtown. Be there at noon, alone. And if I don't? Then I make life very difficult for you. More difficult than losing a janitorial position, I assure you. A pause. Noon, Mr. Carter. Don't be late. The line went dead. Noah sat in his truck, phone still pressed to his ear, and tried to process what had just happened. Claire's father, the billionaire who owned half of Boston, summoning him like a servant. He should ignore it. Should drive home, pick up Emma from school early, pretend none of this ever happened. But he thought about Claire's face in his kitchen, about the fear underneath her composure, about her saying, "My father controls everything." Noah started the truck and drove downtown. The Bancroft was the kind of restaurant Noah had never set foot in. White tablecloths, hushed conversations, prices that weren't listed on the menu because if you had to ask, you couldn't afford it. A hostess intercepted him at the door, took in his jeans and work boots with barely concealed disdain. I'm here to meet Richard Whitmore, Noah said. Her expression changed immediately. Of course, right this way. She led him through the dining room, past tables where people ate lunch that cost more than Noah's weekly grocery budget, to a private corner booth where a man sat alone, reading something on a tablet. Richard Whitmore looked exactly like his pictures. Mid-60s, silver hair, expensive suit, the kind of face that had been making decisions for other people his entire life. He looked up as Noah approached, dismissed the hostess with a nod. Mr. Carter, sit. Noah sat. Up close, he could see the resemblance to Clare. Same dark eyes, same sharp features. But where Claire's face held warmth underneath the polish, Richard's held nothing but calculation. Would you like something to eat? Richard asked. No. Suit yourself. Richard set down the tablet. Let's not waste time. You helped my daughter leave her office Friday night. You took her somewhere she spent the night. I want to know where. That's between me and Clare. Richard's expression didn't change. You're a janitor. Correction. You were a janitor. Single father. Living paycheck to paycheck in Dorchester. Your wife died 3 years ago. Cancer. Left you with medical debt you're still paying off. Your daughter attends public school. You drive a truck that's one breakdown away from the junkyard. He recited the facts like a grocery list. Am I missing anything? Noah felt his jaw tighten. You've done your homework. I always do. Now let me tell you what's going to happen. You're going to tell me where Clare was. You're going to tell me everything that happened, and then you're going to stay away from her permanently. Or what? Or I make your life exponentially worse. Richard leaned forward slightly. I can ensure you never work in this city again. I can have your apartment building sold out from under you. I can make social services take a very close look at your parenting situation. Don't test me, Mr. Carter. You'll lose. Noah had dealt with bullies before, had dealt with them in school, in the military, in the years after Sarah died when everyone had an opinion about how he should be raising Emma. He'd learned that backing down just made them push harder. Your daughter asked me for help, Noah said quietly. She was hurt and scared, and she asked me not to call anyone, so I didn't. That's the whole story. Where did you take her? Somewhere safe. I won't ask again. Then don't. Noah stood up. I'm not going to tell you where Clare was because it's not my story to tell. She's an adult. She made her choice. If you want answers, ask her yourself. He turned to leave. Richard's voice stopped him. $50,000. Noah turned back. What? $50,000, cash. Deposited into any account you want, anonymously if you prefer. Richard's face was completely serious. All you have to do is walk away. Stop taking Claire's calls. Don't contact her. Disappear from her life. That's all I'm asking. Noah stared at him. $50,000. More than he made in a year. Enough to pay off Sarah's medical debt. Enough to get Emma into a better school. Enough to fix the truck, move to a better apartment, stop choosing between electricity and groceries. All he had to do was abandon someone who'd trusted him. No, Noah said. Richard blinked. It was the first genuine reaction Noah had seen from him. I'm sorry? I said no. Mr. Carter, I don't think you understand what I'm offering. I understand perfectly. You're trying to buy me off, and I'm telling you no. Noah felt anger rising in his chest, hot and clean. Your daughter spent one night at my apartment. She met my kid. She made pancakes. That's it. There's no scandal, no exploitation, nothing you need to fix. She was just a person who needed help. My daughter is not just a person. She's a Whitmore. She has responsibilities, a position to maintain, and she doesn't need people like you complicating her life. People like me. Yes. Richard's voice went cold. People who see an opportunity and take it. People who think proximity to wealth means access to it. You're not the first, Mr. Carter. You won't be the last. But you will stay away from Clare, one way or another. Noah leaned down, hands flat on the table, until he was eye level with Richard Whitmore. Let me make something very clear. I don't want your money. I don't want anything from Clare except maybe to know she's okay. What I want is for you to stop treating your daughter like property. She's a person, a smart, capable person who asked for one night to breathe. And I gave her that, that's all. He straightened up. Richard was staring at him like he'd grown a second head. This conversation is over, Noah said. Don't call me again. He walked out of the restaurant, through the hushed dining room, past the scandalized hostess, out into the gray afternoon where his rusted truck waited at a meter. He climbed in, started the engine, and made it 3 blocks before his hands started shaking. $50,000. He'd just turned down $50,000. Noah drove home on autopilot, his mind replaying the conversation. Richard Whitmore's face when he'd said no. The casual cruelty of threatening Emma. The absolute certainty that money solved everything. He pulled into his parking space and sat there, watching sleet mix with leftover snow. His phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. I heard about your job. I'm so sorry. Please, let me help. Claire. Noah stared at the message, wondered how she'd gotten his number, wondered what help meant to someone like her. He didn't respond. Emma came home from school full of stories about recess and a kid named Marcus who'd brought his pet turtle for show and tell. Noah made her a snack, helped with homework, listened to her explain why turtles weren't as cool as dolphins, but were still pretty good. All the normal rituals of their normal life. Except nothing felt normal anymore. After Emma went to bed, Noah sat at the kitchen table with his laptop and started looking at job postings, custodial work, warehouse positions, night security. Everything paid less than what he'd been making. Everything required references he might not get. His phone buzzed again. Claire, please let me make this right. I never meant for you to lose your job. Noah typed and deleted 3 different responses before settling on, not your fault. I made my choice. The reply came back immediately. Then let me help you find another job. I know people. I don't need charity. It's not charity. It's what friends do. Noah stared at that word. Friends. Was that what they were? They'd spent one night together, one strange, suspended night that felt more real than anything had in years. But that didn't make them friends. That made them 2 people who'd briefly occupied the same moment. His phone rang. Claire, calling now. Noah answered, You don't have to do this. I know I don't have to. I want to. Claire's voice was tight. Noah, I heard what my father did. What he offered you. News travels fast. He told me himself, very proud of how he'd handled the situation. Bitterness leaked through every word. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry he put you in that position. I'm not. Silence. Then, what? I'm not sorry. Your father showed me exactly who he is. That's useful information. Noah leaned back in his chair. And I got to tell a billionaire to go to hell. That felt pretty good. Claire laughed. It sounded shaky but real. I wish I'd been there. How are you, really? Trapped. Smothered. Same as always. A pause. He's increased security. I have 2 people following me everywhere now. Says it's for my protection. Says after what happened Friday, he can't trust me to keep myself safe. Claire, I know what he's doing. He's punishing me, making sure I can't disappear again, making sure I stay in my box. Her voice cracked. I had one night, Noah. One night where I felt like myself, and now it's worse than before. Noah closed his eyes. He thought about Emma, sleeping safely in the next room. About the freedom to make his own choices, even bad ones. About how privilege and prison could sometimes look the same from the outside. The aquarium offer, he said quietly. Does it still stand? What? You said you'd take Emma to the aquarium when things settled. Does that still stand? Yes, of course. But Noah, with the security, with my father watching, then we'll be smart about it. Public place. Nothing secret. Just you and me and a 6-year-old who really loves dolphins. Noah opened his eyes. Unless you've changed your mind. I haven't changed my mind. Good. Because Emma's been asking about the pancake lady. And I don't want to teach her that people who make promises don't keep them. He could hear the smile in Claire's voice. Saturday? The aquarium opens at 9. I can have tickets waiting. We'll be there. After they hung up, Noah sat in the quiet kitchen and wondered what he was doing. Wondered if he was being brave or stupid. Wondered if there was a difference anymore. Saturday came cold and bright. Noah dressed Emma in her favorite sweater, the blue one with a whale on it, and drove downtown. The aquarium sat on the waterfront, all glass and modern architecture, surrounded by tourists, even in winter. Claire was waiting near the entrance, wearing jeans and a coat that probably cost more than Noah's truck. Her hair was down. She looked younger, less guarded, and she wasn't alone. 2 men in dark suits stood a respectful distance away, scanning the crowd. Security, Claire said when she saw Noah looking. Ignore them. I do. Emma spotted Claire and ran forward. You came. I promised, didn't I? Claire crouched down to Emma's level. Ready to see some fish? Dolphins aren't fish, they're mammals. You're absolutely right. My mistake. They went inside. The aquarium was crowded but not packed. Families moved from exhibit to exhibit, kids pressing their faces against glass, parents taking pictures. Noah let Emma lead, following her from the jellyfish to the sea turtles to the massive cylindrical tank in the center where sharks circled overhead. Claire walked beside him, close enough that their shoulders almost touched. The security detail stayed back, professional and invisible. This is nice, Claire said quietly. It's an aquarium. It's normal. It's people just being people. No agendas, no performance. She watched Emma dart toward the touch tank. I can't remember the last time I did something like this. You're a billionaire. You can do whatever you want. That's what everyone thinks. But money doesn't buy freedom. Sometimes it's the opposite. Claire glanced at him. How's the job search? Ongoing. I meant what I said. I can help. And I meant what I said. I don't need charity. Noah softened his voice. But I appreciate the offer. They reached the dolphin exhibit. Emma pressed against the railing, watching the sleek shapes move through the water. Her face was pure wonder. They're so fast, she breathed. Claire leaned on the railing next to her. Did you know dolphins have their own names? They use specific whistles to identify each other. Really? Really? Each dolphin has a unique whistle that's like their signature. Other dolphins use it to call them. Emma turned to Noah, eyes wide. Did you know that? I did not. Claire's really smart, Emma declared. Claire laughed. I just read a lot. They spent 2 hours wandering through the exhibits. Emma asked 1,000 questions. Claire answered them all, patient and engaged. Noah watched them together and felt something warm settle in his chest, something that felt dangerous and inevitable all at once. When Emma got hungry, they went to the aquarium cafe. Noah bought hot dogs and fries. Claire ordered a salad she barely touched. They sat at a plastic table surrounded by sticky children and tired parents, and it was the most normal thing in the world. Can we come back? Emma asked through a mouthful of fries. Maybe, Noah said. That means no, Emma said sadly. Claire met Noah's eyes across the table. It doesn't have to mean no. Claire, I'm not offering charity. I'm offering friendship. Her voice was quiet but firm. I like spending time with you, both of you. Is that really so complicated? Noah thought about Richard Whitmore's threats, about the security detail watching them from across the cafe, about the impossibility of their different worlds ever really overlapping. Then he thought about Claire in his kitchen, making pancakes, about Emma's laugh when Claire answered her questions, about how sometimes the right thing and the smart thing weren't the same. No, he said finally, it's not complicated. Emma beamed. So we can come back? We'll see. That means maybe yes. After lunch, they walked along the waterfront. The harbor was gray and choppy, boats rocking at their moorings. Emma ran ahead, chasing seagulls. The security detail followed at a distance. Thank you for today, Claire said. You paid for the tickets. That's not what I mean. She stopped walking, turned to face him. Thank you for not treating me like I'm fragile, for not acting like I'm some kind of exotic creature you need to handle carefully, for just treating me like a person. You are a person. I know, but most people don't see that. They see the money, the name, the image. Claire's eyes were bright. You see me. Noah didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to explain that he saw her because he knew what it was like to be reduced to a single thing. Widower, single father, struggling janitor. Labels that defined you but didn't capture you. I should tell you something, he said instead. Your father offered me $50,000 to stay away from you. Claire went very still. He what? Yesterday. Called me to a restaurant, threatened me, then offered me money to disappear. Noah shoved his hands in his pockets. I told him no, but you should know that's the level he's operating on. I'm going to kill him. Please don't. I just lost my job. I can't afford to visit you in prison. Claire didn't smile. This isn't funny, Noah. He has no right. He's your father. He thinks he's protecting you. He's controlling me. There's a difference. She was angry now, really angry. And I'm done with it. I'm done being managed and manipulated and treated like I can't make my own decisions. Emma came running back, breathless and pink-cheeked. The seagulls are so fast, I can't catch them. That's probably good, Noah said. Seagulls bite. Really? Really? They walked back to the parking garage. Emma chattered the whole way, still full of energy. Claire was quiet, lost in her own thoughts. At Noah's truck, they stopped. Thank you for coming, Claire said to Emma. I had a really good time. Me too. Can you come over for dinner? Noah started to redirect, but Claire spoke first. I'd like that. If your dad says it's okay. Emma turned pleading eyes on Noah. Please, Daddy? Please? Noah looked at Claire, saw the hope and uncertainty in her face, saw the security detail waiting by a black SUV, saw all the ways this could go wrong. Thursday, he heard himself say. 6 o'clock. Nothing fancy. Claire's smile could have lit the whole harbor. Thursday, 6 o'clock. I'll be there. They drove home through city traffic. Emma fell asleep in the back seat, exhausted from the excitement. Noah's mind spun with everything that had just happened, with Claire's anger at her father, with Emma's easy acceptance, with his own stubborn refusal to walk away. His phone buzzed at a red light. Text from Claire. Thank you for everything. See you Thursday. Noah texted back. Don't thank me yet. You haven't tried my cooking. Can't be worse than my attempt at pancakes. Your pancakes were good. Liar. But a kind one. Noah smiled and put his phone away. The light turned green. He drove through the city as afternoon faded toward evening, his daughter asleep behind him, and thought about Thursday, about what it meant to let someone into your life, about whether kindness was enough foundation to build something real. He didn't have answers, but for the first time in 3 years, he was willing to find out. Thursday arrived faster than Noah expected. He spent the afternoon cleaning the apartment like his life depended on it, scrubbing surfaces that were already clean, reorganizing books that didn't need reorganizing. Emma watched him from the couch, swinging her legs. You're being weird, she announced. I'm cleaning. You cleaned yesterday, and the day before. Emma tilted her head. Is it because Claire's coming? Noah stopped wiping down the kitchen counter. Maybe. Do you like her? She's nice. You like her too. That's not what I meant. Emma had that look on her face, the one that said she understood more than a 6-year-old should. Marcus's dad has a girlfriend now. She comes over for dinner sometimes. Are you getting a girlfriend? Noah sat down on the couch next to her. Claire's a friend, that's all. But you smile different when you talk about her. I don't smile different. Yes, you do. You smile like when you look at pictures of mommy. Emma's voice went quiet. Is that okay? To smile like that about someone else? Noah's chest tightened. He pulled Emma close, felt her small weight against his side. Yeah, sweetheart, it's okay. Your mom would want us to be happy, both of us. Good, because I like Claire. She knows a lot about dolphins. At 5:30, Noah started cooking. Nothing fancy. Pasta, garlic bread, salad, the kind of meal that wouldn't fall apart if dinner ran late. Emma set the table, putting out the plates they saved for company, folding napkins with careful precision. The knock came at exactly 6 o'clock. Noah opened the door. Claire stood in the hallway wearing jeans and a sweater, holding a bottle of wine and looking nervous. Behind her, one of the security guys stood by the stairwell, trying to look inconspicuous and failing. Hi, Claire said. Hi, come in. She stepped inside, handed him the wine. I didn't know what you were making, so I got red. If that's wrong, it's perfect. Emma appeared from the kitchen. Claire, you're here. I promised, didn't I? Claire crouched down, met Emma at eye level. Something smells really good. Daddy made pasta. He's a good cooker. Cook, Noah corrected. The word is cook. They ate at the small kitchen table. The three of them crowded around plates of spaghetti while Emma dominated the conversation. She told Claire about school, about Marcus's turtle, about how her teacher said she was getting better at reading. Claire listened like every word mattered, asked questions, laughed in all the right places. Noah watched them and felt something shift in his chest, something that felt like hope and terror in equal measure. After dinner, Emma insisted on showing Claire her room. Noah cleaned up the dishes, listening to their voices drift from down the hall. Emma explaining her stuffed animals, Claire admiring the glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. Normal sounds. Domestic sounds. When they emerged, Emma was holding Claire's hand. Claire said she'd read me a story before bed, Emma announced. Noah glanced at the clock, 7:30. It's a little early. Please, Daddy? Just one? Claire looked at Noah, questioning. He nodded. One story, then teeth and pajamas. They disappeared into Emma's room again. Noah finished the dishes, poured 2 glasses of wine, and tried not to think too hard about what this meant. About Claire fitting so easily into their routine. About Emma already getting attached. About all the ways this could break if he wasn't careful. 20 minutes later, Claire emerged alone. She's asleep. Already? It was a very boring book about ocean zones. My fault for choosing it. Claire accepted the wine glass Noah offered. She's a great kid. Yeah, she is. They moved to the couch. The apartment was quiet except for the radiator's familiar clank and the distant sound of traffic. Claire sat at one end, Noah at the other, a careful distance between them. Thank you for coming, Noah said. Thank you for inviting me. Claire took a sip of wine. This is nice. Normal. I needed normal. How are things? With your father? Claire's expression darkened. Worse. He's furious I won't tell him where I stayed that night. Furious I'm making poor decisions. That's his phrase, poor decisions. As if choosing to spend time with you is somehow proof I can't be trusted. Maybe he has a point. Don't. Claire's voice sharpened. Don't defend him, and don't put yourself down. You're a good person, Noah, a good father. The fact that you don't have money doesn't make you less than. I wasn't saying, yes, you were. I hear it in your voice every time we talk about this. Like you're waiting for me to realize I'm slumming it. Like this isn't real. Claire set down her wine glass. But it is real. At least to me. Noah looked at her, really looked, saw the frustration and vulnerability written across her face, saw someone who'd been told her whole life what to want, who to be, and was finally pushing back. It's real to me too, he said quietly. That's what scares me. Why? Because I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be whatever this is with someone who lives in a completely different world. I don't know how to protect Emma from getting hurt when it inevitably falls apart. You're assuming it will fall apart. Claire, you're a Whitmore. I'm an unemployed janitor living in Dorchester. The math doesn't work. Claire moved closer, closing the distance between them on the couch. The math doesn't have to work. Life isn't math, it's... She gestured, searching for words. It's about finding people who see you, who make you feel human, who don't want anything from you except your company. That's rare. That's worth protecting. Even when it's complicated? Especially when it's complicated. They sat there, close enough now that Noah could smell her perfume, something subtle and expensive, close enough that if he shifted slightly, their knees would touch. My father called me into his office yesterday, Claire said, told me I was embarrassing the family, that whatever I thought I was doing with you needed to stop before it became a problem. What did you say? I told him to go to hell. Noah's eyebrows went up. Seriously? Seriously. Well, I said it more politely, but the sentiment was the same. Claire's smile was sharp. He's not used to me fighting back. None of them are. For years, I just did what I was told. Went to the right schools, dated the right people, said the right things. I was so good at being what they wanted that I forgot who I actually was. And now I'm done. I'm 30 years old and I'm done living someone else's life. She looked at Noah. You helped me remember that night in the storm, waking up in your apartment with your daughter asking about pancakes. It was the first time in years I felt like myself. Noah's throat was tight. Claire, I'm not asking you to fix me. I'm not asking you to save me. I just want... She stopped, recalibrated. I want to see where this goes. If you'll let me. This is a bad idea, Noah said. Probably. Your father's going to make it worse. Let him try. Emma's already getting attached. If this ends badly, then we'll deal with it, together. Claire reached out, took his hand. Her fingers were warm. I'm not running, Noah. I'm tired of running. Noah looked at their joined hands, thought about all the reasons to pull away, thought about Richard Whitmore's threats, about the impossibility of their situations, about how badly this could hurt. Then he thought about Claire making pancakes in his kitchen, about the way she listened to Emma like every word was important, about the strange, terrifying feeling that maybe, just maybe, some risks were worth taking. Okay, he said. Okay. We'll see where it goes. No promises, no expectations, just see. Claire smiled, and it transformed her whole face. Just see. I can work with that. She left an hour later after they'd finished the wine and talked about nothing important. Books they'd read, movies they'd seen. The peculiar layout of Boston's streets. Normal things. Easy things. The security detail was still waiting in the hallway when Noah walked her to the door. Same time next week? Claire asked. If you want. I want. After she left, Noah stood in his quiet apartment and tried to process what had just happened, what he'd just agreed to. Emma was asleep. The dishes were done. Everything looked exactly the same as it had this morning, but something fundamental had shifted. His phone buzzed 3 hours later, well past midnight. Noah was still awake, staring at the ceiling. The message was from an unknown number. Stay away from my daughter. This is your last warning. R.W. Noah stared at the text. Richard Whitmore, escalating, making his position clear. He should have been afraid, should have been calculating the risk. Instead, he was angry. He typed back, no. The response came immediately. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. I will destroy you. Noah hesitated, then typed, you can try, but I'm not going anywhere. He turned off his phone after that. Whatever Richard Whitmore sent next could wait until morning. Noah had spent too many years being afraid of losing his job, afraid of failing Emma, afraid of moving forward because it might mean leaving Sarah behind. He was done being afraid. Friday morning brought consequences. Noah's phone started ringing at 8. First call was from his landlord, curt, apologetic, explaining that the building had been sold and all tenants needed to vacate within 60 days. Second call was from Emma's school. Nothing specific, just some concerns about Noah's employment status that they needed to discuss. Third call was from his bank, flagging unusual activity on his account. Noah sat at the kitchen table, watching the calls come in, and understood exactly what was happening. Richard Whitmore was making good on his threat. By noon, Noah had confirmed it. His lease was being terminated early with a buyout clause he couldn't fight. The school was questioning whether he could still afford tuition for their after-school program. His credit card had been mysteriously declined at the grocery store, even though he'd just made a payment. Small pressures, precise strikes. The kind of attack that came from someone with unlimited resources and no conscience about using them. Noah called Clare. "He's coming after me," Noah said without preamble. "Your father. He's using everything he's got." Claire's voice went cold. "What do you mean?" Noah explained. "The lease, the school, the bank, the systematic dismantling of his life, piece by piece." When he finished, silence stretched across the line. "I'm going to kill him," Clare said finally. "Get in line." "Noah, I'm so sorry. I never meant—" "I know you didn't, but this is the reality. This is what happens when you cross people like him." Noah rubbed his eyes. "I need to think, need to figure out what to do. Let me help. I can fix this. I can—" "No." The word came out harder than he meant it. "I appreciate it. But if you fix this, you're just proving his point that I need you, that I can't stand on my own. That's what he wants." "So what are you going to do?" "I don't know yet." That afternoon, Noah got a call from a lawyer. Not his lawyer. He couldn't afford one. This was someone else's lawyer, calling on behalf of Richard Whitmore to discuss a settlement. Noah didn't call back. Instead, he picked up Emma from school early, took her to the park even though it was cold, and pushed her on the swings while she shrieked with delight. He watched her and thought about what kind of lesson he was teaching, what kind of example he was setting. If he backed down now, if he let Richard Whitmore bully him into walking away, what did that teach Emma? That people with power always won? That loving someone from a different world was impossible? That fear should dictate your choices? Noah pushed the swing higher. Emma's laughter cut through the cold air. No, he wasn't teaching her any of that. "Higher, Daddy." "You sure?" "Higher." Noah pushed harder. Emma soared forward, then back, then forward again, fearless and trusting, believing completely that he'd keep her safe. That night, after Emma was asleep, Noah made a decision. He called Clare. "I need to meet your father, face to face, no restaurants, no games, just the two of us." "Noah, that's a terrible idea." "Probably, but I'm doing it anyway. Can you set it up?" "He'll eat you alive." "Let him try." Silence. Then, "You're sure about this?" "No, but I'm doing it anyway." Claire sighed. "I'll make the call. But Noah, be careful. My father doesn't fight fair." "Neither do I. Not anymore." The meeting was scheduled for Monday morning. Richard Whitmore's office, top floor of the Whitmore Financial Tower. The same building where Noah had worked, where he'd found Clare bleeding on the floor. Full circle. Noah wore his best clothes, the suit he'd bought for Sarah's funeral, barely worn since. He looked at himself in the mirror and barely recognized the man looking back. Tired eyes, hard jaw, someone who'd been pushed too far. Emma was at school. Mrs. Chen had agreed to pick her up if Noah ran late. He'd arranged everything carefully, prepared for whatever happened next. The elevator ride to the top floor felt endless. When the doors opened, Noah stepped into a reception area that screamed money and power. Marble floors, original art, windows overlooking the entire city. "Mr. Carter?" The receptionist was polished and cold. "Mr. Whitmore is expecting you. This way." She led him down a hallway to a massive office. Richard Whitmore sat behind a desk the size of Noah's kitchen table, reading something on a tablet. He didn't look up when Noah entered. "Sit," Richard said. Noah remained standing. "I prefer to stand." Richard looked up then. His expression was unreadable. "Suit yourself. I assume you've reconsidered my offer." "No." "Then why are you here?" "To tell you to stop. Stop going after my home. Stop going after my kid's school. Stop using your money to make my life hell." Noah's voice was steady. "You want to come at me, fine. But leave Emma out of it. Your daughter is already in it. She's in it because you made poor choices." Richard set down the tablet. "Let me be very clear, Mr. Carter. I will use every resource at my disposal to separate you from Clare. I will make your life so difficult that you'll beg to take my money and disappear. And if you think some misplaced sense of nobility is going to protect you, you're wrong." "You're afraid," Noah said. Richard's eyes narrowed. "Excuse me? You're afraid that Clare might actually be happy with someone you don't control, that she might choose her own life instead of the one you planned for her. That terrifies you. Because if she can walk away from your money and your power and your manipulation, what does that say about you?" "You don't know anything about my daughter. I know she spent one night in my apartment and smiled more than she probably has in months." I know she makes friends with 6-year-olds and answers questions about dolphins. I know she's smart and capable and doesn't need you making her decisions. Noah took a step forward. And I know you're so busy controlling her that you forgot to just love her. Richard stood up. He was taller than Noah, broader, but Noah didn't step back. You think you're the hero here? Richard's voice was quiet and deadly. You think this is some story where the poor noble janitor wins the heart of the princess? This is real life, Mr. Carter. In real life, people like you don't end up with people like my daughter. They end up exactly where they started, poor, struggling, and forgotten. Maybe, but at least I'll end up knowing I tried, that I didn't let fear or money or people like you make my choices. Noah met Richard's eyes. Can you say the same? For a moment, something flickered across Richard Whitmore's face. Something that might have been doubt, or recognition, or pain. Then it was gone, replaced by cold calculation. Get out of my office. Gladly, but I'm not walking away from Claire. Not because you threaten me, not because you throw money at the problem, not because you make my life difficult. If she wants me gone, she can tell me herself. But you don't get to decide that for her. Noah turned to leave. Richard's voice stopped him at the door. You'll regret this. Probably. But it'll be my regret, not yours. Noah walked out, past the cold receptionist, past the marble and art and windows, into the elevator, down to the lobby, out into the February cold. His hands were shaking. His heart was racing. He'd just declared war on one of the most powerful men in Boston, and it felt right. His phone rang before he'd made it to the parking garage. Claire. What did you do? She demanded. What I had to. Noah, my father just called me. He's furious. He's talking about lawyers and injunctions, and she stopped. What did you say to him? The truth. Which was? That he's afraid. That he's controlling you because he doesn't know how else to love you. That I'm not going anywhere. Noah reached his truck, leaned against it. And that he doesn't get to make your choices. Claire was quiet for a long moment. You told my father he doesn't know how to love me. Yeah.
No one's ever said that to him. Not once. Not in his entire life. Maybe someone should have. Noah Carter, you're either the bravest or stupidest man I've ever met. Can it be both? Claire laughed. It sounded shaky but genuine. What happens now?
I don't know. He'll probably make good on his threats. I'll probably lose my apartment. Probably end up worse off than I started. Noah looked up at the building, at the top floor where Richard Whitmore sat in his office full of power and emptiness. But I meant what I said. I'm not walking away. Good. Because neither am I. Claire, you don't have to. Yes, I do. You just went to war with my father for me. The least I can do is stand beside you when the bombs start dropping. Her voice strengthened. I'm done being managed, done being the good daughter who does what she's told. If he wants a fight, he's going to get one. This could get ugly. It already is ugly. At least now we're being honest about it. Noah closed his eyes, felt the winter sun on his face, heard traffic moving around him, and thought about the strange path that had led him here. From finding a bleeding stranger in an office to declaring war on a billionaire. From one desperate night to something that felt like it might actually matter. Come over tonight? He asked. I'll be there. She was, with wine and takeout and a determination that matched his own. They ate dinner with Emma, played a board game that Emma won through cheerful cheating, and talked about nothing important. After Emma went to bed, they sat on the couch and Claire told him everything. About growing up Whitmore. About the pressure and expectations and constant surveillance. About her mother who died when Claire was 12, leaving her alone with a father who loved through control. About the men she'd dated who saw dollar signs instead of a person. About the exhaustion of performing perfection every single day. I'm tired, she said finally. I'm so tired of pretending. Then stop, Noah said. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You just decide. You decide who you want to be and you become that person. Everything else is noise. Claire looked at him. Is that what you did? After your wife died? Noah thought about the year after Sarah's funeral, the darkness, the depression, the mornings he'd barely gotten out of bed except for Emma's sake. No, I fell apart completely, spectacularly. I was a mess for a long time. What changed? Emma needed me to be functional, so I learned how. Not gracefully, not easily.
But I learned. He paused.
And eventually I realized that Sarah wouldn't want me frozen in grief. She'd want me to keep going, to live, to maybe even be happy again. And are you? Happy? Noah considered the question. His life was a mess right now. No job, lease terminating, a billionaire gunning for him. But Emma was healthy. He'd found something real with Clare, however complicated. He'd stood up to Richard Whitmore and meant every word. Yeah, he said. In a weird way, I think I am. Clare kissed him then, soft and tentative and searching. Noah kissed her back, tasting wine and possibility and fear. When they broke apart, both of them were breathing hard. That just made everything more complicated, Clare said. Yeah. Good. She left before midnight. Noah walked her to the door, watched her meet the security detail in the hallway. She turned back once, smiled, and he felt something in his chest expand. This was real. Messy and complicated, and probably doomed, but real. Noah closed the door and leaned against it. Outside, the city hummed with late-night traffic. Inside, Emma slept peacefully. And somewhere between those two things, Noah Carter, 32-year-old single father with nothing to his name, decided that maybe fighting for something impossible was exactly what he needed to do. His phone buzzed. Text from Clare. Thank you for everything, for being you. Noah smiled and typed back, Thank you for seeing me. I do. I really do. He set down his phone and went to check on Emma. She was sprawled across her bed, one arm hanging off the side, completely at peace. Noah pulled her blanket up, kissed her forehead, and made a silent promise. Whatever happened next, he'd face it standing up. No more fear, no more backing down. Richard Whitmore had declared war. And Noah Carter, against all logic and reason, had accepted. The eviction notice arrived on Tuesday, tucked inside a FedEx envelope that required Noah's signature. 60 days to vacate, just as his landlord had warned. Legal and binding and exactly what Richard Whitmore wanted. Noah set it on the kitchen table and stared at it while his coffee went cold. Emma was at school. The apartment was quiet except for the radiator's constant knocking. 2 months to find a new place in a city where he couldn't afford rent even when he had a job. 2 months to uproot Emma from the only home she'd known since her mother died. His phone rang. Not Clare this time. A number he didn't recognize. Mr. Carter, this is Jennifer Ross from Boston Child Services. We received a complaint regarding your daughter's welfare, and we need to schedule a home visit. Noah's blood went cold. A complaint from who? I'm not at liberty to say, but there are concerns about your current employment status and living situation. We need to verify that Emma is in a stable environment. She's fine. She's more than fine. I'm sure she is, but we have to follow up on every report. It's procedure. Jennifer Ross sounded apologetic but firm. Can we schedule something for later this week? Noah wanted to scream, wanted to throw his phone across the room. Instead, he said, Friday, 2 o'clock. Perfect. We'll see you then. After she hung up, Noah sat at his kitchen table and let himself feel it. The rage, the helplessness, the sheer unfairness of fighting someone with infinite resources. Richard Whitmore wasn't just attacking him anymore. He was going after Emma. Using the system meant to protect children as a weapon. Noah called Clare. She answered on the first ring. He called Child Services, Noah said without greeting. Your father reported me. They're doing a home visit Friday. Claire's sharp intake of breath was audible. He what? He's escalating, going after Emma directly now. Noah's voice was flat. I can't fight this, Clare. I can't fight him and win. He's got too much power, too many resources. He's going to take everything from me piece by piece until there's nothing left. No, he's not. I won't let him. What are you going to do? You can't control him any more than I can. Watch me. The line went dead. Noah stared at his phone, heart pounding, and wondered what Clare was about to do. Wondered if it would make things better or catastrophically worse. He found out 3 hours later when his phone exploded with notifications. News alerts. Social media mentions. Text messages from numbers he didn't recognize. Noah opened the first link with shaking hands. The headline read, Whitmore heiress speaks out. My father tried to buy off the man I'm dating. Below it was a photo of Clare at what looked like a press conference. Professional, composed, furious. Noah's hands went numb. He read the article in disbelief. Claire had gone public, had told reporters about the $50,000 offer, about the intimidation, about her father's systematic campaign to control her life. She'd named Noah directly, called him a good man being persecuted for helping someone in need. She'd made their relationship public knowledge. His phone rang. Claire.
"What did you do?" Noah asked. "What I should have done years ago. I called his bluff." Claire sounded wired, electric.
He thinks he can operate in the shadows, use his money and power quietly, but the second you shine a light on it, the second you make it public, he loses that advantage. Claire, you just put a target on both of us. The target was already there. At least now everyone can see who's holding the gun. She paused. I'm sorry. I should have asked you first, but I was so angry, Noah. He went after your daughter. He crossed a line and I couldn't let it stand. Noah sat down heavily. His life had just become a news story. Emma's life. Their faces would be everywhere by morning. What happens now? Now we deal with the fallout, together. Claire's voice softened. Are you okay? No, but I will be. The fallout came fast and merciless. By evening, Noah's phone was ringing constantly. Reporters, lawyers, people offering money for his story. He turned it off after the 20th call, went to pick up Emma from school and found cameras waiting outside. Mrs. Chen intercepted him at the entrance. They've been here for an hour. I had the school keep Emma inside until you arrived. Thank you. Mr. Carter, what's going on? Noah looked at the cameras, at the reporters shouting questions. Long story. I'll explain later. Can you help me get her out of the back? They smuggled Emma out through the school's rear entrance, avoiding the press. She was quiet in the truck, picking up on Noah's tension, even if she didn't understand it. Daddy, why were those people at school? They wanted to ask me questions. About what? Noah gripped the steering wheel. About Claire and me and some grown-up stuff that's complicated. Are you in trouble? No, baby, I'm not in trouble. Emma was quiet for a moment, then, is Claire in trouble? Maybe. I don't know yet. When they got home, there were reporters in the lobby. Noah carried Emma past them, ignored their questions, locked the apartment door behind them. He made dinner mechanically, grilled cheese, tomato soup, while Emma did homework at the kitchen table. His phone was still off. He didn't want to see what was being said, didn't want to read the comments or the speculation. Didn't want to know how Richard Whitmore was spinning this. After Emma was asleep, Noah finally turned his phone back on. 53 missed calls, hundreds of texts, and one voicemail from a number he recognized. Richard Whitmore. Noah played it, hands clenched. Mr. Carter, I underestimated you, and I certainly underestimated my daughter's capacity for self-destruction. Richard's voice was cold, controlled. You wanted a public fight? You have one. But understand this, everything that happens from here is on you. Every consequence, every hurt, every piece of damage. You could have walked away. You chose this. Remember that when it all falls apart. The voicemail ended. Noah deleted it and tried to breathe through the spike of fear in his chest. This was real now. Public. There was no going back. His phone buzzed. Text from Claire. Are you okay? No, but we're safe. I'm coming over. Claire, there are reporters everywhere. I don't care. I'll be there in 20 minutes. She showed up in 30, wearing a baseball cap and sunglasses, flanked by 2 security guards who cleared a path through the reporters still camped in the lobby. Noah let her in and locked the door behind her. Claire pulled off the sunglasses. Her eyes were red-rimmed. I'm so sorry. You keep saying that. Because I keep meaning it. This is my fault, my father, my mess, my... Noah pulled her into a hug. She went rigid for a second, then collapsed against him, shaking. They stood there in his entryway while Claire cried into his shoulder, and Noah held her and wondered how they'd gotten here. I didn't know what else to do, Claire said finally, pulling back. He was going to destroy you. I had to do something. So you declared war on him publicly? Yes. That was either brilliant or insane. Can it be both? Claire wiped her eyes. He called me after the press conference, told me I'd just ruined my life, that I'd embarrassed the family, that he was done trying to protect me from my own stupidity. What did you say? That I was done being protected, that I'd rather be embarrassed and free than perfect and trapped. Claire's voice cracked. He hung up on me. My own father hung up on me. Noah led her to the couch, poured her a glass of water. What happens now? With the company? Your position? I don't know. He controls the board. He could fire me, cut me off financially. I've been prepared for that possibility since I made the decision. Claire took a shaky breath. I have my own money. Trust fund from my mother. He can't touch that. It's not billions, but it's enough to live on. You're willing to lose everything for this? For the truth? Yes. For the chance to live my own life? Absolutely. Claire looked at him. For you, without question. Noah's chest tightened. Claire, I know it's fast. I know it's crazy. But Noah, I haven't felt this alive in years. I haven't felt this real. And if fighting my father is what it takes to keep that, then I'll fight. They sat in silence for a moment. Then Noah said, Child Services is coming Friday. I know, I saw the report. Your father's trying to prove I'm an unfit parent. He won't succeed. You're the best parent I've ever seen. Claire set down her water glass. I can help. Character witness, financial backing, whatever you need. That might make it worse. You publicly dating me, defending me, it looks like exactly what he's claiming. That you're making poor decisions, that I'm influencing you. So what do we do? I don't know. Noah rubbed his face. I need to find a job, fast. Need to show I can provide stability. The eviction doesn't help, but if I can show income, show that I'm actively working to improve our situation, I can make calls, get you interviews. No, that's exactly what we can't do. If I get a job because of your connections, it proves his point. I have to do this myself. Noah looked at her. And Claire, you need to think hard about whether this is worth it. Really think, because it's only going to get harder. Claire's jaw set. I've thought about nothing else. And yes, it's worth it. She stayed until midnight, then left with her security detail. Noah watched from the window as she climbed into the black SUV, watched it pull away into the night. Then he sat at his laptop and started applying for jobs. Anything, everything, warehouse work, retail, security. He sent out 20 applications before exhaustion pulled him under. The next morning brought more reporters, more phone calls, more chaos. Emma's school called. Could Noah please come in for a meeting? Mrs. Chen knocked on the door. Her landlord was asking questions. Could Noah explain what was going on? Noah handled each crisis mechanically, one after another, while exhaustion ground him down. By Wednesday, he'd landed 3 job interviews for the following week. None of them paid well, but they were something, a start. Thursday evening, Claire showed up unannounced. She looked wrecked, hair pulled back, no makeup, exhaustion written in every line of her face. My father's freezing my corporate accounts, she said without preamble. Says I'm a liability. Says until I come to my senses, I'm suspended from all company duties. Noah pulled her inside. I'm sorry. Don't be. I expected it. Claire sank onto the couch. But Noah, he's not stopping. He's going after everyone connected to me. My assistant got a call, transfer to the London office, or find new employment. My college roommate who works in PR, suddenly her contract isn't being renewed. He's making examples of them. To get to you. To show me what happens when I don't comply. Claire's hands were shaking. I knew he was ruthless, but this is vindictive. This is punishment. Emma appeared from her room, drawn by voices. She stopped when she saw Claire. Are you crying? Claire wiped her eyes quickly. Just a little? Why? Because sometimes grown-ups have hard days too. Emma climbed onto the couch next to Claire. When I have hard days, Daddy makes me hot chocolate. Do you want hot chocolate? Claire laughed wetly. That sounds perfect. Noah made hot chocolate while Emma told Claire about her day. About art class and recess, and a boy who'd brought a frog to school in his pocket. Normal things. Simple things. By the time Noah brought the mugs over, Claire looked almost human again. They sat together on the couch, the 3 of them, drinking hot chocolate while Emma chattered. Noah watched Claire listen, watched her engage, watched her smile despite everything falling apart around them. And he thought, this is what Richard Whitmore is trying to destroy. Not a scandal, not a liability, just this. 3 people choosing each other despite logic and odds and common sense. After Emma went to bed, Claire stayed. She helped Noah wash the dishes, dried while he washed, and didn't talk about the chaos waiting outside. Tomorrow's the home visit, Noah said finally. I know. If they decide I'm unstable, they won't. If they recommend removing Emma, Noah couldn't finish the sentence. Claire took his hand. Then we'll fight it. We'll get lawyers. We'll document everything your father's done. We'll show it's retaliation, not legitimate concern. That takes time and money. I have both. Claire, I can't let you put... You're not letting me do anything. I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. She squeezed his hand. Stop trying to protect me from my own decisions. Noah looked at her, this woman who'd walked away from billions, who'd publicly defied her father, who was sitting in his cheap apartment offering to spend her inheritance fighting legal battles for a man she'd known 3 weeks. Why? He asked quietly. Why are you really doing this? Claire was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was raw. Because when I was bleeding on that office floor, terrified and alone, you didn't walk away. You didn't calculate risk or weigh consequences. You just helped. No one's ever done that for me. Everyone in my life wants something, wants my name or my money or my connections, but you just wanted me to be safe. She met his eyes. I'm doing this because for the first time in my life, someone saw me as a person first, and I'm not letting that go. Noah pulled her close. She came willingly, tucked against his chest, and they sat there in the quiet kitchen while the radiator knocked and the city hummed outside. I'm scared, Noah admitted. Me too. What if we lose everything? Then we'll lose it together. Friday arrived heavy and inevitable. Noah cleaned the apartment until it gleamed, made sure Emma's room was tidy, her clothes clean, her toys organized, made sure there was food in the fridge, no expired milk, nothing that could be used against him. At 1:30, Claire showed up. Noah tried to send her away. Having her here during the visit could make things worse, but she refused. I'm staying, as a character witness, if nothing else. Claire's voice left no room for argument. They need to see you have support. Emma came home from school at 1:45. Mrs. Chen had picked her up, brought her to the door. Emma took one look at Noah's face and knew something was happening. Is this about the people asking questions? She asked. Yes, baby. Someone's coming to visit to make sure you're okay. But I am okay. I know. They just need to see that for themselves. Jennifer Ross arrived at exactly 2 o'clock. She was younger than Noah expected, mid-30s, with kind eyes that had seen too much. She introduced herself to Emma first, then to Noah and Claire. Ms. Whitmore, Jennifer said, surprised, I didn't expect to see you here. I'm a friend of the family. I wanted to be here for support. Jennifer's expression suggested she knew exactly who'd filed the complaint and why Claire was here. But she just nodded and pulled out a tablet. Shall we begin? The next hour was excruciating. Jennifer asked Emma questions about school, about her home, about whether she felt safe. Emma answered honestly, confused but cooperative. Then Jennifer inspected the apartment, checked the refrigerator, Emma's room, the smoke detectors, asked Noah about his employment status, his plans, his support system. Through it all, Noah stayed calm, answered every question truthfully, showed Emma's school records, her medical records, the documentation of every way he'd provided for her. Claire stayed quiet, letting Noah handle it. But her presence was a statement that Noah wasn't alone, that people vouched for him, that this wasn't neglect or instability. Finally, Jennifer closed her tablet. Mr. Carter, I've seen enough. Emma is clearly well cared for, healthy, and happy. Your home is clean and safe. You've maintained her education and medical care despite difficult circumstances. Noah's knees almost buckled with relief. So I'll be filing a report that Emma is in no danger. The complaint appears to be unfounded. Jennifer glanced at Claire. I should mention that filing false reports is serious. If I discover this was done maliciously, there will be consequences. It was, Claire said flatly. My father filed it to harass Noah. I can provide documentation if needed. Jennifer's expression hardened. Please do. We take this very seriously. She turned to Noah. You're a good father, Mr. Carter. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. After she left, Noah sank onto the couch. Emma climbed into his lap, sensing his emotion, even if she didn't fully understand it. Is everything okay, Daddy? Yeah, baby. Everything's okay. Claire sat next to them. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it and her face went pale. What? Noah asked. My father, he wants to meet, says it's important, says, she swallowed hard, says, if I don't come alone, he'll make sure the next investigation is more thorough. Don't go. It's a trap. I have to. If I don't, he'll just escalate again. Claire stood. I'll call you after. Claire, I need to face him, Noah. Need to tell him to his face that he's lost, that he doesn't control me anymore. She kissed Emma's forehead, then Noah's. I'll be fine, I promise. She left. Noah watched from the window as the SUV pulled away, and fear settled in his stomach like a stone. 2 hours passed. Then 3. Noah tried Claire's phone. It went straight to voicemail. He texted. No response. As the sun set and Emma asked for dinner, Noah's fear transformed into panic. At 7:30, there was a knock at the door. Noah opened it to find one of Claire's security guards, the one who usually drove her. Mr. Carter, Miss Whitmore asked me to deliver this. He handed Noah an envelope and left before Noah could ask questions. Inside was a handwritten note. Noah, I'm sorry. My father made me an offer I couldn't refuse. Not money. He said if I walk away from you, he'll drop everything. No more attacks on you, no more investigations, no more making your life hell. He'll leave you and Emma alone completely. But if I don't walk away, he'll destroy you, systematically, until there's nothing left. I can't let that happen. I can't let you lose Emma because of me. Please understand, this isn't what I want, but it's what has to happen. You and Emma deserve a normal life. I'm too complicated, too damaged, too much baggage. You were right from the start. The math doesn't work. I'm so sorry. Please don't try to contact me. It'll only make it harder. Take care of yourself. Take care of Emma. Be happy. Claire. Noah read it 3 times. Then a 4th. The words didn't change. She'd walked away. Chosen to protect him by leaving. Believed her father's threat and decided Noah's safety was worth more than their relationship. Noah crumpled the note in his fist. Rage and grief and helplessness warred in his chest. She'd made the decision for both of them, had decided what he needed without asking. Emma appeared in the doorway. Where's Claire? She had to go. When's she coming back? Noah looked at his daughter's hopeful face and felt something break inside him. I don't know, baby. But she promised. She promised she'd come to dinner next week. She promised we'd go to the aquarium again. Sometimes grown-ups break promises, even when they don't want to. Emma's face crumpled. That's not fair. No, it's not. He held Emma while she cried, while she grieved a loss she didn't fully understand. And Noah made a decision. Richard Whitmore had won this round, had used the one weapon Noah couldn't fight, genuine care for Claire's well-being, had forced her to choose between her own happiness and Noah's safety. But the war wasn't over. After Emma was asleep, Noah sat at his kitchen table and pulled out his laptop. He opened a blank document and started writing. Everything. The night he found Claire, the help he'd given, Richard's threats, the $50,000 offer, the systematic attacks, the child services complaint, every detail, every date, every piece of evidence he could remember. If Richard Whitmore wanted to operate in shadows, Noah would drag everything into the light. He wrote until his eyes burned and his hands cramped. Wrote until he had a complete record of everything that had happened. Then he saved it, backed it up, and sent copies to 3 different email addresses. His phone buzzed, text from an unknown number. This is Claire. I'm using a burner. I'm so sorry. Please don't hate me. Noah stared at the message for a long time. Then he typed, I don't hate you, but I don't accept your decision either. This isn't over. Noah, please, let it go. It's better this way. For who? Not for me, not for Emma, maybe not even for you. A long pause. Then, my father will destroy you. He'll try. But I'm not going down without a fight, and neither should you. No response came. Noah set down his phone and looked at the document on his laptop. The evidence, the story, the ammunition he'd need for whatever came next. Richard Whitmore had forced Claire away, had used threats and manipulation and fear to break them apart. But Noah Carter hadn't survived his wife's death, hadn't rebuilt his life from nothing, hadn't learned to be both mother and father to his daughter, just a fold now. Tomorrow he'd figure out his next move. Tomorrow he'd start fighting back for real. Tonight, he just sat in his quiet kitchen and missed a woman he'd known for 3 weeks but who'd somehow become essential. Missed her laugh, missed her terrible pancakes, missed the way she looked at Emma like children were miracles instead of obligations. Outside, the city settled into darkness. And inside, Noah Carter made himself a promise. He wasn't done. Not with Claire, not with this fight, not with proving that sometimes, just sometimes, love was worth more than power, even when the math didn't work. The week after Claire left was the longest of Noah's life. He went through the motions, made breakfast, dropped Emma at school, went to job interviews, picked Emma up, made dinner. Every action mechanical, every smile for his daughter's benefit forced. Emma asked about Claire constantly at first. Where was she? When was she coming back? Why did she leave without saying goodbye? Noah didn't have good answers, just variations on the same theme. Sometimes things don't work out the way we want them to. By Wednesday, Emma stopped asking. The silence was worse than the questions. Noah got a job offer on Thursday. Warehouse work, night shift, barely above minimum wage. He took it, started the following Monday. Mrs. Chen agreed to watch Emma overnight again, and Noah fell back into the rhythm of nocturnal life, working while the city slept, coming home as the sun rose, sleeping while Emma was at school. It was familiar, safe, exactly the life he'd had before Claire Whitmore collapsed on an office floor and asked for help. Except now it felt hollow. 2 weeks after Claire's note, Noah's phone rang at 3 a.m. He was on break at the warehouse, sitting in the cold loading dock with bad coffee and tired thoughts. Unknown number. Hello? Mr. Carter. The voice was female, clipped, professional. My name is Amanda Chen. I'm an attorney with Morrison & Wells. I represent Claire Whitmore. Noah sat up straight. Is she okay? She's fine, physically, but she's asked me to reach out regarding a legal matter. A pause. She wants to file a restraining order against her father. What? She's prepared to go on record about his harassment, his threats, his systematic attempts to control her life. But she needs evidence, documentation, witnesses. Amanda Chen's voice was measured. She told me you have records of his behavior, the threats, the $50,000 offer, the manufactured complaints. She wants to use them. Noah's mind raced. Why now? She walked away. She chose to protect you. But apparently that wasn't enough for Richard Whitmore. He's escalated again. Amanda's voice went cold. He's attempting to have Claire declared mentally incompetent, claims her recent behavior, the press conference, the relationship with you, defying him, proves she's unstable and needs a conservator, specifically him. That's insane. That's desperation. He's losing control and using every tool available to get it back. But if we can prove a pattern of harassment, manipulation, and abuse of power, we can fight it. We can show the judge what he's really doing. Amanda paused. Will you help? Noah thought about Claire, about the fear in her eyes when she talked about her father, about the note she'd written. I'm too complicated, too damaged, too much baggage, about how she'd walked away believing it was the only choice. Yes, Noah said. I'll help. Whatever you need. Good. I'll send someone to collect your documentation tomorrow. And Mr. Carter? Thank you. Claire needs people willing to stand up for her. That's been in short supply. The next morning, a courier picked up everything Noah had written. Every email, every text message, every documented threat and interaction with Richard Whitmore. Noah made copies first, kept them in 3 separate locations, and sent the originals with a signature required. Emma noticed his mood shift. You're smiling again, she observed over breakfast. Am I? Yeah, the real kind. Not the pretend kind you've been doing. Emma spooned cereal into her mouth. Does that mean Claire's coming back? I don't know, baby. Maybe. We'll see. That usually means no. This time it really means maybe. The court date was set for 3 weeks out. Amanda Chen called Noah twice more, once to go over his testimony, once to warn him that Richard Whitmore's lawyers would try to destroy his credibility. They'll bring up your job loss, your eviction, your wife's medical debt, everything they can use to paint you as someone motivated by money or revenge. Amanda's voice was firm. Stay calm. Tell the truth. Don't let them rattle you. I can handle it. I believe you. Claire does too. Noah wanted to ask how Claire was doing, if she was okay, if she missed him even a fraction as much as he missed her. But he didn't. This wasn't about them. This was about Clare getting free. The night before the hearing, Noah couldn't sleep. He lay on the couch staring at the ceiling, running through everything he'd say, everything he'd witnessed, hoping it would be enough. His phone buzzed at 2 in the morning, the burner number Clare had used before. "I heard you're testifying tomorrow." "You didn't have to do that." Noah typed back immediately. "Yes, I did. My father's lawyers will crucify you. Let them try." "Noah, I'm serious. They'll dig up everything, make you look desperate, make it seem like you're doing this for money or attention or revenge. I don't care what they make it seem like. I know the truth, you know the truth. That's enough." A long pause. Then, "Why are you doing this?" Noah stared at the question, thought about all the easy answers. Because it's right. Because someone needs to stand up to bullies. Because Richard Whitmore deserves consequences. But the real answer was simpler and more complicated. Because 3 weeks ago, you made pancakes in my kitchen and my daughter laughed. Because you listened to her talk about dolphins like it was the most important conversation you'd ever had. Because for one strange, impossible moment, we were just people being people. And I'm not ready to let that go. The phone stayed silent for so long Noah thought she wasn't going to respond. Then, "I miss you, both of you. So much it hurts." "Then stop running." "It's not that simple." "Yes, it is. You decide what you want and you fight for it. Everything else is just noise. You make it sound easy. It's not easy. It's terrifying. But it's worth it." Another pause. Then, "I'll see you tomorrow, in court. I'll be there." Noah set down his phone and closed his eyes. Tomorrow, everything would change. One way or another, this ended. The courthouse was downtown, all marble and security checkpoints and hushed conversations. Noah arrived early, wearing the same suit he'd worn to Sarah's funeral. Amanda Chen met him in the hallway outside the courtroom, looking sharp and professional in a way that made Noah feel underdressed. "Mr. Carter, thank you for coming." "Of course. Richard Whitmore's team will be here in force. Don't let the numbers intimidate you." Amanda glanced toward the courtroom doors. "Claire's already inside with her father. It's tense." Noah's stomach tightened. "Is she okay?" "She's holding her own, but this is hard for her, facing him publicly, admitting what he's done." Amanda met his eyes. "Your testimony matters. It corroborates her story, shows the pattern. Don't hold back." They entered the courtroom. It was smaller than Noah expected, more intimate. Richard Whitmore sat at the front table with 3 lawyers, all expensive suits and leather briefcases. He looked calm, confident, like this was just another business transaction. Clare sat across the aisle with Amanda and one other attorney. She was wearing a dark suit, hair pulled back, looking composed but fragile. When Noah walked in, her eyes found his immediately. Something passed between them: recognition, gratitude, fear. Noah sat in the gallery. The judge entered. A woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and an expression that suggested she'd heard every excuse and believed none of them. "We're here regarding the petition filed by Richard Whitmore seeking conservatorship of his daughter, Clare Elizabeth Whitmore, on the grounds of mental incompetence." The judge looked over her glasses. "Ms. Chen, you filed a counter motion for a restraining order based on harassment and abuse of power. Is that correct?" "Yes, Your Honor." "Let's begin." Richard's lawyers went first. They painted a picture of a daughter spiraling out of control. The press conference, the relationship with an unemployed janitor with significant debt, the public defiance of her family. They brought up Claire's mother's death, suggested unresolved trauma, implied instability. Claire sat through it all with her jaw tight and her hands clenched in her lap. Then it was Amanda's turn. She called Clare to the stand first. Claire walked to the witness box like she was walking to her own execution, swore to tell the truth, sat down with her back straight and her eyes forward. Amanda started gently, asked about Claire's education, her position at the company, her competence in business matters, established that Claire was intelligent, capable, successful. Then the question shifted. "Miss Whitmore, can you describe your relationship with your father?" Claire's voice was steady but strained. "Complicated. He's controlled every aspect of my life since my mother died. Who I dated, where I went to school, what job I took. He called it protection, called it love, but it felt like prison." "Can you give specific examples?" "When I was 22, I wanted to study abroad. He threatened to cut off my tuition if I went. When I was 26, I dated someone he didn't approve of. He had the man audited by the IRS until he broke up with me. When I suggested leaving the company to start my own business, he told me I'd be cut out of the family completely. And recently, Claire took a breath. Recently, I met someone kind and honest who didn't want anything from me except my company. When my father found out, he tried to buy him off. $50,000 to disappear. When that didn't work, he went after his job, his home, filed false reports with child services to threaten custody of his daughter. Richard's lawyer shot to his feet. Objection. Speculation. Ms. Whitmore has no proof. I have documentation, Amanda said calmly. Phone records, emails, testimony from witnesses. We'll be presenting all of it. The judge waved them both down. Continue. Amanda turned back to Claire. Why did you file for a restraining order? Because 2 weeks ago, my father told me if I didn't end my relationship and return to the company, he'd have me declared incompetent. He'd take control of my assets, my decisions, my life, legally, permanently. Claire's voice cracked. I've spent my whole life being controlled. I can't do it anymore. I won't. Thank you, Ms. Whitmore. Richard's lawyer stood for cross-examination. He was smooth, practiced, ruthless. He questioned Claire's judgment, her recent behavior, her motivations, tried to make her look unstable, emotional, irrational. Claire held her ground, answered every question directly, didn't give them anything. When Claire finally stepped down, she looked exhausted. She returned to her seat and didn't look at her father once. Amanda called Noah next. Noah walked to the stand, heart hammering, swore to tell the truth, sat down and met Amanda's eyes. Mr. Carter, can you describe the first time you met Claire Whitmore? Noah told the story. Finding her bleeding on the office floor, her asking for help, his decision to assist her even though it violated protocol, the drive through the blizzard, the night in his apartment. Richard's lawyers were taking notes furiously. And did Mr. Whitmore contact you regarding his daughter? Yes. He called me to a restaurant, threatened to make my life difficult if I didn't tell him where Claire had been. What kind of threats? He said he could ensure I never worked in Boston again, that he could have my apartment building sold, that he could make child services investigate my parenting. Did he follow through on these threats? Yes. I lost my job the next day. My lease was terminated. Child services showed up for a home visit based on a complaint about my daughter's welfare, a complaint that turned out to be completely unfounded. Did Mr. Whitmore make any other offers? Noah looked directly at Richard Whitmore. He offered me $50,000 to stay away from Claire. When I refused, he escalated. The courtroom was silent. Amanda nodded. Thank you, Mr. Carter. Richard's lead attorney stood. He was older, silver-haired, with the kind of confidence that came from never losing. Mr. Carter, you're currently unemployed, is that correct? I have a job, warehouse work. But you lost your position at Whitmore Financial Tower. Yes. Because you violated company policy. Because I helped someone in distress. And you're facing eviction. My lease was terminated. I'm looking for new housing. You have significant debt from your late wife's medical treatment. Noah's jaw tightened. Yes. So when Richard Whitmore offered you $50,000, that must have been tempting. It was a lot of money, but I said no. Or so you claim. But isn't it possible, Mr. Carter, that you saw an opportunity in Claire Whitmore? A wealthy, vulnerable woman who you could manipulate for financial gain? No. Isn't it possible that all of this, the testimony, the documentation, the heroic story, is just an elaborate scheme to extract money from the Whitmore family? Noah felt anger rising in his chest, forced it down. If I wanted money, I would have taken the $50,000. I would have walked away. Instead, I lost my job, my home, and spent every day since then fighting your client's attempts to destroy my life. Does that sound like someone after money? The lawyer's expression didn't change. You could be playing a longer game, building credibility to file a lawsuit later. I'm not playing any game. I'm here because Claire asked for help. Same reason I helped her the first time. Same reason I'll keep helping her, because it's the right thing to do. How noble and convenient. Amanda stood. Your Honor, counsel is badgering the witness. Sustained. Move on, counselor. The lawyer changed tactics. Questioned Noah's judgment, his decisions, his fitness as a parent, every vulnerability exposed and picked apart. Noah answered each question honestly, didn't hide his struggles, didn't pretend his life was perfect, just told the truth and hoped it was enough. When he finally stepped down, he was shaking. He returned to his seat and found Claire watching him. She mouthed 2 words, "Thank you." The hearing continued through the afternoon. Amanda presented documentation, emails, phone records, financial transactions that showed Richard's systematic campaign. She called Jennifer Ross from Child Services, who testified that the complaint against Noah had been unfounded and appeared malicious. Richard's lawyers fought every point, claimed everything was coincidence or legitimate business, tried to paint Richard as a concerned father, making hard choices. But the evidence was damning. As the sun set and the courtroom lights flickered on, the judge called for closing statements. Richard's lawyer went first. Painted Clare as troubled, Noah as opportunistic, Richard as protective. It was polished and practiced and hollow. Amanda stood for Clare's side. "Your Honor, this case is simple. A grown woman wants autonomy over her own life. Her father, unable to accept that, is using money and power to maintain control. The conservatorship petition isn't about Clare's competence. It's about punishment, about forcing compliance. The evidence shows a clear pattern of harassment, manipulation, and abuse of power. Clare Whitmore is asking this court for one thing: the right to make her own choices. That's not incompetence. That's freedom." The judge was silent for a long moment. Then she said, "I'll take this under advisement. We'll reconvene Monday morning for my decision." Court adjourned. Everyone stood. Noah watched Clare gather her things, watched her father's lawyers surround him. Richard said something to Clare. Noah couldn't hear it, but he saw her face go pale. Then Richard left, lawyers trailing behind him. The courtroom emptied until it was just Noah, Clare, and Amanda. Clare walked over to Noah. Up close, he could see the exhaustion written in every line of her face. "Thank you for everything you said up there. I just told the truth. That's more than most people would do." Claire's voice was barely a whisper. "Noah, I'm sorry for leaving, for the note, for not being brave enough to stay. You're here now. That's what matters. I don't know what happens Monday. If the judge rules against me, then we appeal. Then we fight harder. But Clare, you've already won. You stood up to him. You told the truth publicly. He doesn't own you anymore." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "I was so scared. I'm still scared." "So am I. But we're doing it anyway." Amanda cleared her throat gently. "I hate to interrupt, but we should go. The press is outside and we need to prepare a statement." Clare nodded. She looked at Noah one more time. "Can I call you later?" "You better." She left with Amanda. Noah stood in the empty courtroom for a moment, letting the silence settle around him. Then he walked out into the cold February evening and drove home. Emma was waiting with Mrs. Chen. She ran to Noah the moment he walked in. "Did you see Clare? Is she coming back?" "I saw her. I don't know about coming back yet. But maybe." "Maybe." That night, after Emma was asleep, Noah's phone rang. "Clare." "Hey," she said. "Hey, I'm at a hotel. Couldn't go back to my apartment. Too many reporters. Too many cameras." She sounded tired. "Thank you again. For today." "You already thanked me." "I know, but I need to say it again. What you did up there, standing up to those lawyers, telling them the truth, even when it cost you, that took courage. So did testifying against your father." "I had help. I had you. I had Amanda. I had people who believed me." Claire's voice cracked. "Noah, what if the judge rules against me? What if she decides my father's right? Then we keep fighting. For how long? As long as it takes." Silence. Then, "I miss your apartment. I miss Emma asking 1,000 questions about dolphins. I miss feeling normal. We're still here, whenever you're ready. Monday. After the ruling. Whatever happens, can I come over Monday night?" "Yes. Even if I lose, especially if you lose." Clare laughed shakily. "Okay, Monday. I'll be there." They talked for another hour, about nothing important, books and movies and the strange way the city looked at night. Normal conversation, human conversation, the kind that reminded them both that underneath everything, they were just 2 people trying to figure things out. Monday morning arrived gray and cold. Noah took Emma to school, then drove downtown. The courthouse was more crowded this time. reporters, cameras, people who'd heard about the case and wanted to see how it ended. Noah pushed through to the courtroom, found his seat, watched Claire enter with Amanda, watched Richard arrive with his army of lawyers. The judge took the bench. Everyone stood, then sat. The room was so quiet Noah could hear his own heartbeat. "I've reviewed all testimony and evidence presented in this case," the judge began. "The petition for conservatorship and the countermotion for a restraining order. Both are serious matters requiring careful consideration." Noah's hands were clenched so tight his knuckles were white. First, regarding the conservatorship petition. Richard Whitmore argues that his daughter lacks the capacity to make sound decisions, citing recent behavior as evidence. However, the testimony and evidence show that Clare Whitmore is a competent, educated adult with a successful career and no history of mental health issues. Her recent choices, including ending a relationship at her father's insistence, then seeking legal recourse when he escalated, demonstrate rational decision-making, not incompetence. The petition is denied. Claire's shoulders sagged with relief. Noah saw her close her eyes, breathe for what felt like the first time in days. Regarding the restraining order, the judge continued, the evidence presented shows a clear pattern of harassment, manipulation, and abuse of power. Richard Whitmore used his considerable resources to punish his daughter for asserting independence. He threatened and intimidated witnesses. He filed false reports to government agencies. This behavior is unacceptable regardless of his relationship to Ms. Whitmore. Richard's face was stone, but Noah saw something flicker in his eyes, something that might have been fear. Therefore, I'm granting the restraining order. Richard Whitmore is prohibited from contacting Clare Whitmore directly, from using third parties to harass or intimidate her, and from interfering in her personal or professional life. Violation of this order will result in immediate legal consequences. The judge looked directly at Richard. "Mr. Whitmore, your daughter is not your property. She's an adult with the right to make her own choices. I suggest you respect that." The gavel came down. It was over. The courtroom erupted in whispered conversations. Richard stood stiffly, conferred with his lawyers, and left without looking at Claire once. Claire sat frozen, like she couldn't quite believe what had happened. Amanda was talking to her, probably explaining next steps, but Claire wasn't listening. She was staring at the empty space where her father had been. Noah made his way to the front. "Claire," she looked up. Her eyes were wet. "Did that really just happen?" "Yeah, it really did. I won. I actually won." "You did." Claire stood on shaky legs. Amanda excused herself to talk to the press. Noah and Claire were alone in the chaos of the emptying courtroom. "What do I do now?" Claire asked. "Whatever you want. That's kind of the point. I don't even know where to start." "Start small. Start with today." Noah took her hand. "The offer still stands. Dinner tonight, 6 o'clock. Nothing fancy." Claire smiled through tears. "I'll be there." She was. She showed up at Noah's apartment at exactly 6, carrying wine and looking nervous. Emma answered the door and threw herself at Claire with a squeal of delight. "You came back!" "I promised, didn't I?" Claire hugged Emma tight. "Sorry it took so long." They ate dinner at the small kitchen table. Spaghetti again, because Emma had requested it. Emma talked nonstop about everything that had happened since Claire left. School, friends, a book about whales she'd read 3 times. Claire listened like nothing else in the world mattered. After dinner, Emma wanted to play a board game. They played 2, both of which Emma won through increasingly creative interpretations of the rules. By the time Noah put Emma to bed, it was past 9. When he emerged from Emma's room, he found Claire on the couch, looking at the drawings on the refrigerator. She turned when she heard him. "Your daughter is amazing." "I know." "She asked me if I was going to be her dad's girlfriend now. I didn't know what to say." Noah sat next to her. "What do you want to say?" Claire was quiet for a moment. "The truth, that I don't know what we are, that I'm still figuring out who I am without my father controlling everything, that I'm probably going to make mistakes and mess things up and not always know the right answer." She looked at him. "But I want to try. If you'll let me." "Claire, I'm a 32-year-old single dad working in a warehouse. I've got debt, no college degree, and an apartment I'm getting evicted from. I'm not some prize you won. No. You're the person who helped a stranger in a storm, who stood up to a billionaire twice, who testified in court knowing it would cost you. Who makes his daughter pancakes and reads marine biology textbooks so he can answer her questions? Claire's voice was firm. You're exactly the prize, Noah. You just don't see it. Noah didn't know what to say to that. Didn't know how to explain that he still felt like he was stumbling through life, making it up as he went, hoping he didn't screw up too badly. I'm scared, he admitted. Scared of Emma getting hurt if this doesn't work. Scared of you realizing the reality of my life doesn't match whatever idea you have in your head. Scared that 3 months from now, you'll wake up and wonder what you were thinking. I'm scared too. Scared of being too broken, too complicated, too much work. Scared you'll get tired of dealing with my mess. Claire took his hand. But I'm more scared of not trying, of letting fear make all my decisions like I've done my whole life. They sat there, hands linked, both terrified and both choosing to stay anyway. So what do we do? Noah asked. We take it slow. We figure it out as we go. We don't make promises we can't keep. Claire squeezed his hand. We just see where this goes. Just see. Just see. Noah pulled her close. She came willingly, tucked against his chest like she belonged there. They stayed like that for a long time, not talking, just breathing together in the quiet apartment. Eventually, Claire said, I need to find a new job, something separate from my father, something that's mine. What do you want to do? I don't know. That's the terrifying part. I've never gotten to choose before. She pulled back to look at him. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever makes you happy, whatever makes you feel like yourself. That's not very specific. No, but it's true. Claire smiled. You're terrible at advice. I know. She kissed him then, soft and gentle and full of promise. When they broke apart, both of them were smiling. I should go, Claire said. It's late. You could stay. On the couch. Like before. Noah? I just mean you don't have to go back to a hotel, if you don't want to. Claire considered. Okay, if you're sure. I'm sure. They fell into an easy routine after that. Claire came over for dinner twice a week. Sometimes she stayed, sleeping on the couch, joining them for breakfast in the morning. Emma adored her. Noah tried not to think too hard about how natural it felt having Claire in their space. Richard honored the restraining order. Barely. He stayed away, but he made his displeasure known through channels, freezing Claire out of company decisions, making it clear she wasn't welcome back at the family estate. Claire mourned the loss of her father even as she celebrated her freedom. It's strange, she told Noah one night. I finally got what I wanted, independence, autonomy, the right to make my own choices. But it came at the cost of my whole family. My father won't speak to me. My aunts and uncles take his side. I'm alone. You're not alone, Noah said. You have me, you have Emma, you have friends. It's not the same. No, but it's real, and maybe that's worth more. Claire started consulting for nonprofits, using her business expertise to help organizations that actually needed it. The money was nothing compared to what she'd made at Whitmore Financial, but she came home from meetings energized in a way Noah had never seen. I helped a homeless shelter restructure their budget today, she told him excitedly. They'll be able to serve 30 more people a month. 30 people, Noah. That's amazing. It is. It really is, she grinned. I didn't know work could feel like this, like it mattered. Noah watched her transform week by week, saw her become more confident, more herself, saw her laugh easier, worry less, move through the world without constantly looking over her shoulder. 6 weeks after the court ruling, Noah got a call from Amanda Chen. Mr. Carter, I'm calling to inform you that Richard Whitmore has settled several matters out of court. He's agreed to drop any further action against you, reinstate your employment record with a neutral reference, and compensate you for losses incurred during his harassment campaign. Noah's grip tightened on the phone. Compensate me how? A settlement. Enough to cover your legal fees, lost wages, and damages. The exact amount is negotiable, but we're talking significant money. I don't want his money. Mr. Carter, I understand your feelings, but this isn't about wanting it. It's about holding him accountable, about getting back what he took from you. Noah thought about Emma, about the eviction notice still sitting on his table, about the debt that kept him up at night. How much are we talking about? $200,000, possibly more if we push. Noah closed his eyes. $200,000. more than enough to clear Sarah's medical debt, to get them into a decent apartment, to give Emma opportunities he'd never been able to afford, all from the man who'd tried to destroy him. "I'll think about it," Noah said. He talked to Claire that night. She was surprisingly pragmatic. "Take it," she said immediately. "I don't want to feel like he bought me." "He's not buying you. He's paying for what he did. There's a difference." Claire put her hand on his. "Noah, I know you want to be noble about this, but you have a daughter. You have debt. This money could change your life." "It feels wrong." "Why? Because he's rich? Because you think accepting help makes you weak?" Claire's voice was gentle but firm. "You've spent this whole relationship refusing to let me help you, refusing to accept anything that looks like charity. But sometimes accepting help isn't weakness. It's just being smart." Noah sat with that, turned it over in his mind. Finally, he said, "I'll take it on one condition." "What?" "Half goes to paying off Sarah's medical debt and getting us stable. The other half goes to nonprofit work. Organizations helping single parents, families dealing with medical crisis, people who need it more than I do." Claire smiled. "That's very you." "Is that a compliment?" "Yes?" Noah took the settlement, signed the papers, deposited the check, and immediately paid off every medical bill he'd been carrying for 3 years. The relief was so intense it made him dizzy. Then he wrote checks to 5 different organizations that helped families in crisis, gave them what he could spare, and hoped it made a difference. With what remained, Noah found a new apartment. Nothing fancy, but bigger than the Dorchester place, in a better neighborhood with a good school nearby. 2 bedrooms so Emma could have her own space. Windows that let in actual light. Claire helped them move in. She showed up in jeans and a t-shirt, hair in a ponytail, ready to carry boxes. Emma directed her like a tiny foreman, pointing at where furniture should go. "That couch is too far from the window," Emma declared. "You're absolutely right," Claire said seriously, and helped Noah move it. By evening, they were exhausted. They ordered pizza and ate it sitting on the floor of the new living room, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes. Emma fell asleep between them, worn out from the excitement. Noah looked at Claire over his daughter's sleeping form. "Thank you. For everything." "You keep saying that." "I keep meaning it," Claire smiled. "We're even then." They carried Emma to her new bedroom, tucked her into bed surrounded by boxes of toys and books. Then they went back to the living room and collapsed on the couch. "This is nice," Claire said. "What is?" "This. Us. Just being normal." She leaned against him. "I never thought normal could feel this good." Noah wrapped his arm around her. "You want to know something?" "What?" "When I found you on that office floor, bleeding and scared, I thought helping you would be the biggest mistake of my life. And now? Now I think it might be the best decision I ever made." Claire turned to look at him. "Even with everything that happened? All the chaos and pain and fighting? Especially because of that. Because you were worth fighting for. Because Emma got to see that sometimes you stand up for people even when it's hard. Because I learned I'm stronger than I thought I was." Noah brushed hair from Claire's face. "And because somehow, impossibly, we ended up here. Together. And that feels right." Claire kissed him. It was different from the first time, less desperate, more certain, like they were both finally sure this was real. When they broke apart, Claire said, "I love you. I've been afraid to say it because it seemed too fast and too much. But I do. I love you." Noah's chest expanded. "I love you too. Even though I'm complicated?" "Especially because you're complicated. Complicated keeps life interesting." Claire laughed. "You're insane." "Probably, but I'm your brand of insane." They stayed up late that night, unpacking boxes and talking about the future. About Emma starting at the new school. About Claire's nonprofit work. About whether they should get a dog. Emma had been campaigning hard for a puppy. Normal things, future things. The kind of conversation people have when they're building something together. 3 months later, on a cold April morning, Noah woke to find Claire in his kitchen making pancakes. Emma was helping, standing on a chair, carefully flipping each one. "You're going to burn them," Emma said critically. "Probably," Claire agreed. "But that's part of the charm." Noah watched them from the doorway, his daughter and the woman he loved, working together in comfortable silence. Sunlight streaming through windows, coffee brewing, the kind of ordinary moment that felt like everything.
Emma spotted him. Daddy, Claire's teaching me to make pancakes. I can see that. They're not very good yet, but Claire says we'll get better with practice. Practice makes progress, Claire corrected. Not perfection, progress. Noah joined them at the stove, kissed the top of Emma's head, then Claire's. Need any help? We've got it covered, Claire said, but you can set the table. They ate breakfast together as the city woke up around them. Talked about Emma's upcoming science project on dolphins. Of course, dolphins. Talked about Claire's meeting with a women's shelter that afternoon. Talked about nothing and everything. After Emma left for school, Claire lingered. She had her own apartment now, a small place in Cambridge that felt like hers. But she spent most nights here, in this space they were building together. I have something to tell you, Claire said. Noah's stomach dropped. That sounds ominous. It's not. At least I don't think it is. Claire took a breath. My father reached out through Amanda. He wants to meet, to talk. About what? He didn't say. Just that he wants to talk. No lawyers. Just the two of us. Claire looked nervous. I don't know if I should go. Noah considered. Do you want to see him? Part of me does. He's still my father, even after everything. Claire's voice was small. Is that stupid? No, it's human. Noah took her hand. He's your family. You're allowed to want a relationship with him. You're also allowed to protect yourself. Both things can be true. What do you think I should do? I think you should do whatever feels right to you. If you want to meet him, meet him. If you don't, don't. But either way, I'm here. Claire met with Richard a week later. Coffee shop, public place, Amanda on standby. She was gone for 2 hours. When she came back to Noah's apartment, she looked wrung out. How did it go? Noah asked. He apologized. Actually apologized. Said he'd been controlling and wrong, and that he'd let fear make him into someone he didn't recognize. Claire sank onto the couch. Then he said he wanted to try, to have a relationship with me, on my terms. No manipulation, no control, just father and daughter. Do you believe him? I don't know. Maybe. He seemed genuine, but he's seemed genuine before. So what did you say? I said I'd think about it, that I wasn't ready to trust him yet, but I wasn't closing the door either. Claire looked at Noah. Was that the right answer? There's no right answer, just the one that feels true to you. Over the following months, Claire saw her father occasionally. Lunches, always in public, always with clear boundaries. It was slow and awkward and sometimes painful, but it was something. Richard never apologized to Noah, never acknowledged what he'd done, but he stopped interfering, stopped manipulating, started treating Claire like an adult with her own life. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was progress. Winter turned to spring. Emma finished first grade at the top of her class. Claire's nonprofit consulting turned into a full-time job with an organization she believed in. Noah got promoted at the warehouse. Not much, but enough to feel like forward movement. They didn't have a lot, but they had enough. On a Sunday in May, they took Emma to the aquarium, same place they'd gone months ago, but everything felt different now. Felt settled, real. Emma dragged them to the dolphin exhibit, pressed her face against the glass, and watched with the same wonder she'd had the first time. Did you know dolphins remember each other their whole lives? Emma asked. Even if they're apart for years, they remember. I didn't know that, Claire said. It's true. They never forget the dolphins they love. Noah and Claire exchanged a look over Emma's head, both thinking the same thing about the night in the blizzard, about the choice to help a stranger, about how some connections stayed even when everything else changed. After the aquarium, they walked along the harbor. Emma ran ahead, chasing seagulls. Noah and Claire walked slowly, hands linked. I've been thinking, Claire said. About the future, about what comes next. And I want this. I want you and Emma and Sunday mornings at the aquarium. I want the chaos and the complications and the everyday boring stuff. Claire stopped walking, turned to face him. I want us to be a family. If you want that too. Noah's throat was tight. Emma would love that. What about you? I love it too. I love you. Both parts of you. The complicated billionaire heiress and the woman who burns pancakes. Claire laughed. I'm getting better at pancakes. You really aren't. Rude but fair.
They kissed there on the harbor walk while Emma chased birds and the city moved around them. It wasn't a movie ending. There was no dramatic music, no perfect sunset, just two imperfect people choosing each other on an ordinary Sunday. And that felt right, because love wasn't about grand gestures or perfect timing. It was about showing up, about standing beside someone when things got hard, about building something real out of honest moments and shared struggles, and the stubborn refusal to give up. Noah Carter had learned that the night he helped a stranger in a storm. Claire Whitmore had learned it fighting for her own freedom. Emma had always known it, had never doubted that love meant showing up, asking questions, making room for people in your heart. They walked back to Noah's truck. Emma climbed in the back seat, chattering about dolphins. Claire sat in front, hand on Noah's knee. And Noah drove them home through the spring afternoon, thinking about how strange life was, how one choice could change everything, how sometimes the biggest risks brought the best rewards. His apartment wasn't much. His job wasn't impressive. His life wasn't the stuff of fairy tales. But it was real. It was his. And it was full of people he loved who loved him back. That was enough. More than enough. As they pulled into the parking lot, Emma asked, "Can Claire stay for dinner?" Noah looked at Claire. She smiled. "If you'll have me?" "Always," Noah said, and he meant it. Because 3 weeks or 3 years or 3 decades from now, the answer would be the same. Claire Whitmore, complicated, brilliant, terrible at pancakes, would always have a place at his table, in his home, in his life. Some things you just knew, some people you didn't let go. The math didn't have to work. The worlds didn't have to align. Love didn't follow logic or reason or the rules people thought mattered. It just was. And that, Noah thought as he watched Emma grab Claire's hand and pull her toward the apartment, was the whole point. Not perfection, not ease, just the choice to keep showing up, keep trying, keep building something worth protecting. The rest was just noise.